All right, guys, we are live. This is the Shillan and Duffy recap show on sherdog.com. I'm gonna do something right away because that's bothering me and it's getting too shadowed. I'm chinning that off. Thank you guys. Sorry about that. Obviously, because we've had some internet issues, I changed my location, so I'm right next to the internet box over here, plugged in with a cord. So hopefully that helps some recent internet issues. This is the UFC 316 live recap show brought to you by sherdog.com. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I am your host. My name is Keith Shillan. Joining me as always is the senior editor of sherdog.com, the great Ben Duffy. Ben, how you doing, my man? Ben, you're on mute.
I'm doing all right. A little better once I get a little bit of Lagavulin 11 down the hatch.
There you go. So before we start, and we're gonna do the most in-depth recap show we believe on planet Earth. We want to address something right off the top. Both me and Ben, we work at Sherdog. I think it would be extremely irresponsible of us if we didn't address this right away. I know I take a lot of pride working for Sherdog. I know Ben does too. I think Sherdog has, for the last 2+ decades, has been one of the best places of minds in the history of MMA. And one of those people that have probably been a cornerstone for Sherdog is the great Jordan Breen. Unfortunately, for those who may not know, Jordan Breen unfortunately passed away this week. Both me and Ben wanted to obviously extend our condolences to his family. There's a lot of people hurting in MMA as he touched so many people's lives. I know there's a lot of people here hurting at Sherdog, including me and Ben. We're both huge fans of Jordan. Ben, talk to me about it.
Well, this is gonna be difficult, but if I'm going to talk about Jordan, I'm really gonna do this. So if my mic, like if I disappear from this, it's because I couldn't do it. But Jordan Breen is the reason that I am here talking to you right now. If you're watching this, and I don't mean that in some metaphysical or symbolic sense, like he inspired me or I learned everything I know from him, even though all of those things are true to some extent. I mean literally, and I'm going to tell you a little story. February of 2018, I had been a fan of MMA since the early 2000s. I'd been a Sherdog reader for almost as long. I had been a listener of the Sherdog radio network since really since it launched, but definitely since Jordan joined the staff in 2009. Keith's name underneath his face there and mine are, of course, tributes to the Jordan Breen show. We were both regular callers. I was Ben from Houston, then I was Ben from Salt Lake City, and then I was Ben from Houston again. Keith, Rhode Island is a big place, so he was Keith from Providence the whole time. But I had been at least an acquaintance of Jordan's. We had emailed back and forth about things over the years. And in 2018, February of 2018, they put out a call on the front page for volunteer writers. Just saying, want to write for Sherdog? Get in touch through this email address. Now, the irony and the difficulty of this situation is that MMA was in a downturn in early 2018. The UFC had been sold at the height of the Conor and Ronda craze, and it had been in steady decline ever since. I mean, neither of them basically ever fought again after that. And MMA media goes as the sport does. All of your favorite media outlets are built on month-to-month freelance contributors. And so at the time Sherdog put that call on the front page, basically the entire staff had been either laid off or had their pay slashed so that Sherdog could stay afloat. Jordan had literally been let go a month or two before that. So when they put out the call, I was interested in participating. I mean, I'd been working in corporate America for most of my life, a writer, copy editor, graphic designer, but I said, sure, it'd be fun to get my name as a byline on my favorite MMA site. But I had known Jordan long enough and well enough in my peripheral way that there's no way I was going to do it if he wasn't down with it. So I reached out to Jordan and I said, look, there's the call for volunteer writers on the front page. I'm kind of interested in doing it, but I know that you were let go or laid off entirely. I know that Mike Sloan was laid off. I know that so-and-so and so-and-so were forced to take a pay cut. I'm not down with doing this if it is this company's backdoor way to keep from bringing you guys back or paying you what you deserve. Now, there's a number of things that Jordan could have done at that point. A perfectly understandable and human thing for him to do would have been to say, fuck those guys, fuck Sherdog. You know, they laid me off. I don't have a job now. Don't go work for them for free. If he had done that, I would never have joined Sherdog. If he had just said, oh, yeah, it's free country, you know, do what you want, it's cool, I might not have. But he didn't do either of those things. He encouraged me to. He said he loved Sherdog and expected that things would get better and he would be brought back. And not only did he do that, but he reached out directly to Sherdog editor-in-chief Mike Fridley, my boss, and Keith's, and gave me a recommendation that I won't even quote here because it's embarrassingly effusive, but basically just said, green light this man as fast as possible. I've known him for years. He could do good work for us. That changed my life.
Yeah.
It went from a volunteer thing to a decently paid little side thing within a few months. When COVID hit and I lost my office job, it turned into my full-time job. It allowed me to keep a roof over my head for a couple of years there, and it's still my main job.
That's a really good story, man. I can't follow that up. What I will say is, John was the man. He was an absolute man. I would like you said, I got into this MMA thing just by accident. I was just a listener many years ago. I remember, I don't even think about calling in. I would call in after hours and just talk to TJ, talk to Jordan. I don't think anybody had the mind that Jordan had for MMA. It's unmatched. Just a cool dude. His stories are incredible. I imagine him up in heaven talking to the angels about some obscure pancrase fight or something. One thing that we get every once in a while, and we both get why. We both work for Sherdog and we do the recap show. Well, that's something that Jordan and TJ did.
Yeah.
People come in there and they well, like, oh, these guys aren't Jordan and TJ. And we're not. And we never tried to be. And you won't find bigger fans of those guys than me and Ben.
No.
You know what I mean? So when someone comes in and says something like that, I've never taken it as an insult.
No.
You know, so the MMA took a huge loss this week, and I know guys like Mike Fridley left him. You know, he had a hard time with it. There's a lot of other people really close. People are closer than me. I can't imagine how TJ is, and Jeff Sherwood, and Greg Savage, and Josh Gross, and all those guys. But what I'd like to do right now is just me and Ben's we're gonna mute our mics for a second, and we're just gonna have a moment of silence for Jordan.
Be back in maybe 10-15 seconds, guys.
All right, so I think everyone being cool. We want to shout out to all the listeners. I know some people might have not known Jordan, but just come in here and say nice words. It was really cool. One other thing I want to address right away before we get into the action, and I know I speak for all of Sherdog, and I know I speak for Ben and all our listeners. There was news that broke tonight that Ben Askren, former UFC fighter, former Bellator champion, one FC champion, obviously Olympic wrestler, NCAA multi-time NCAA champion, is currently in the hospital in serious, very serious condition with a very serious pneumonia, and it's bad. So we're all of us are thoughts and prayers to for Ben, for his family, for his children, for his friends. I know everyone thinks about him as an MMA fighter and a wrestler. He's also a fantastic wrestling coach. He has the Askren Academy, so we're all pulling for Ben Askren. All right, so obviously, it's tough to follow up and be like, all right, let's talk about fights now. If anybody knew Jordan would be like, guys, shut the hell up and start talking about fights. That's what people care about this show. So let's talk about fights. We had a very deep card, UFC 316 headline by the rematch, Merab Dvalishvili taking on Sean O'Malley. I don't care how many times Merab wins that belt, I'm still going to always mispronounce his name. Ben, I think we had a pretty good night on our picks. But one thing I've always kind of said is I never really cared about like record. Like I don't care if I went 10-3, which is a good one. But one thing I've always cared about is how I read the fight.
Yeah.
I had a really good night on my reads on not just who won, but how it won. Like starting with this one, I picked Merab by, I don't know what round I picked, but I picked Merab by sub. I said it was going to look a lot like the first fight, and then Merab's going to drown O'Malley and actually break his will, and then that's when the sub's going to be and that's exactly what happened. What I want to do, Ben, though, and again, I don't want to make this about me because it's not about me. Like, because we all know I can make some dumbass picks too, but I want to talk about O'Malley's game plan first, because obviously fighting Merab is the ultimate mystery, and nobody has even been close as of recently, and to kind of solve him. I'm not sure if it's like the only possible game plan you can have if you're O'Malley to do what he was doing, or if it was the worst game plan. And what I think he was doing was he was just trying to catch Merab coming in, trying to time a perfect shot as he was coming in. And it was bad, man.
It is, because here's the thing. I agree with you. I appreciate the game plan. And I said in the Sherdog chat, these are two guys that clearly went back to the drawing board and did their homework and came up with a plan to do better in the second fight. The winner as well as the loser of the first fight. And that's refreshing. It sounds basic, like, oh yeah, these guys have prepared for each other. But how many rematches do we see where neither fighter appears to have learned anything? So I'm with you. I understand why O'Malley did what he did, but in its own way, it was even riskier because he was going to lose every single round unless he found that shot. Like, I mean, the first half of the first round where he's just backing away, and it looks like his whole goal is to not get backed into the fence and to find the right moment to plant and kill Merab with one massive shot. You're rolling the dice because you're not going to win rounds that way. So and I'm not criticizing the game plan, because why would you try to win rounds against the best round winner in the UFC right now?
Yeah. Your only chance of winning is probably landing that perfect shot. But one thing that when the fight immediately started, the first 10 seconds, O'Malley closes distance right away. He lands like a spinning back kick, and I'm like, oh, like this is what O'Malley's gonna do. He's gonna bring the action to Merab, and then he instantly backed away instead of like circling. And what I think he was trying to do, and obviously we'll get to this fight later on, is what Mario Bautista ended up doing to Patchy Mix, where he was just like moving target and kind of hard to get trapped. The only difference is he wasn't a moving target. He was a retreating target, where he was retreating back to the cage, retreating back to bad positions, compared to Bautista, where it was a lot more lateral movement, side to side, fake, stand there, fake one way, fake the other, almost like I always think like a wide receiver who just caught a screen pass and the cornerback's right in front of him. He's got to juke one way and the other way and try to, kind of get him guessing. No, this was like the running back who gets stopped and then runs back, or a quarterback who's like scrambling for his life and running straight backwards. And then what happened was Merab started getting some takedowns, which we all knew was inevitable. Even if you beat Merab, you're going to get taken down. It's eventually you have to get up and land the shot. And I mean, I guess technically you land it right away, but they kept talking about how improved Merab's striking is. And I think there's some truth to that, but a lot of it is just a threat of the takedown. O'Malley kept dropping his hands because he's so worried about getting taken down.
And I think that's where things really started to break loose in round 3, because Merab, I don't think, got a single official takedown in round 2. But in round 3, for a guy that looks just as frenetic and chaotic as he is, there's so much intelligence to it. Just like big overhand punches that would just lead straight to a collar tie and picking the opposite ankle, and then just running forward and bowling O'Malley off of his feet. Just that is so smart.
It's funny, and not to the different style fighters, and we'll get to this fight later on too. But I remember the broadcast team kept saying that Gustafsson was reckless abandon, and I'm like, he's really not. He's being extremely strategic. Just becoming forward, being aggressive, doesn't mean it's reckless abandon. And that's kind of what happens with Merab. And one thing O'Malley was doing is he was dropping his hands, trying to like dig an underhook when Merab shoots out on his takedown. The difference is between Merab and so many people, they enter and then they try pulling the legs in, so they kind of extended. So when you have an underhook, your arm is under an extended arm, and you can kind of pull up. What Merab does when he shoots in, he brings his whole body forward. So now when you underhook, he pins your arm, and now with his chest and his shoulder, and now your arm is stuck when he slams you. So it's like trying to take that out and actually hurts you, put you in a worse position. So the other thing that kept happening is like O'Malley was backing up and Merab was cutting off all the exits. So he was striking as he was exiting. He landed a big shot, so it kind of had O'Malley guessing. And then there was one moment where I was just like, "How brilliant was that?" It was near the end of the first round. He took down O'Malley. It might have been his first takedown or second takedown. He took down O'Malley. It was right in front of John Wood and Ray Longo, and he had him like where O'Malley was kind of like on his butt. Where I feel like in freestyle wrestling, it's not exposure yet. It was actually, if people who follow wrestling, it was exactly very similar to the Kadastarachi Kyle Dake match the other day. But Merab just elevated his legs, but not only did he elevate his legs up, he spun him off the cage, so he ended up getting the takedown, but put O'Malley in a position where he couldn't get up either. And I was just like, this is freaking brilliant. How like this guy is. He beats people with cardio and his entries, but like you said, he's way more strategic than people think.
Yeah.
We'll obviously people are going to talk about matchups and who they want next. It sounds like the UFC already kind of has their guy, and I don't want Merab to move up, but as I was watching, by the beginning of the third round, I was just like, all right, this match is over. Or actually, might even like late second round. Like, all right, Merab's it's whether Merab stops him or not.
And if you're thinking that at the end of a round where Merab got 0 takedowns, think of what that means.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. So I'm watching it, and then no, I remember it was a takedown, so it's probably the beginning of the third.
Mm-hmm.
Merab took him down, and you could see O'Malley getting frustrated, and I couldn't imagine how frustrating that must be. But I was watching that, and I'm like, God, how freaking good would be Merab versus Volkanovski? Like, how awesome would that fight be?
If Topuria hadn't moved up, I think we'd be starting to hear a little bit of noise about that, like a Georgia versus Georgia type thing. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. The country is so small they might not want to fight each other. Like I'm sure they like probably cheer for each other and stuff. Even though
I don't know if
there's so different personalities.
I don't know if Ilya roots for anybody but himself.
Yeah,
he seems like that dude.
Maybe his brother. Before we get into matchmaking, I'm watching this and I'm sitting there and I'm like, O'Malley probably was the biggest threat to Merab because he has the ability to land the one shot and put him out. But now, who's the biggest threat? If you had to put all your life savings in one person to beat Merab in that division, don't go outside the division, pick someone in that division. Who is it?
What, you asking me if I want to see Merab versus Rafion Stotts too? I don't know. Like, just I'm thinking, who could hit the hardest with one single shot at 135? It's and obviously plenty of UFC champs have looked invulnerable until everything just falls apart. Like, how quickly did we wonder how anyone was going to even lay a finger on Lyoto Machida to Lyoto Machida staring up at the lights? It took 2 fights.
Yeah,
but
right
now, looking at Merab, I'm thinking we're just going to have to wait for him to get old. We're going to have to wait for him to get old enough that this approach doesn't work anymore. Because the thing is, yeah, you would like to think about some sniper with a massive left or right hand or a massive head kick, but it's not like Merab is chinny.
No, I
think Merab could have gone full power slap and spotted Sean O'Malley a free shot at the beginning of the fight and then fought and beat him.
Yeah. It's funny because when he gets hit, they always like over exaggerate of how hurt he was. Like even today, like, oh, he caught him with a good shot. Like, did he really? Like he landed a punch. Like he gets punched. I don't know if this is what Mr. C is saying. He's saying Merab is his own biggest threat. I don't know if this is what he's saying, but I'm gonna jump on it. Like Merab, like running into a wall, or like diving head first into ice, like he did. Like he probably is his biggest threat, doing stupid shit. So if I had to pick somebody, I mean, I think Merab is a horrendous stylistic matchup for Sandhagen after what we just saw Umar do to him. I mean, to me, it'd be rinse of your repeat. And Umar slowed down in that fight, and that's why it was closer than it was. But
Sandhagen's decisive losses have been to people that can do what Merab does not as well as Merab. Like he got run over on the ground real fast by Aljamain Sterling, and then Umar, Umar'd him. Yeah. I love Sandhagen. He is a blast to watch. And in another era, he's a guy that could easily have been champ, at least for a while. But yeah, he has like the lowest chance to me of anyone in the top 10.
Yeah. If I had to, like, if I can cheat, after I said don't go out of the division, Pantoja moving up. He's got that very people. He does not get credit for his power. Move up to 135, a little more weight. He's extremely aggressive. He also obviously is a submission threat. Not that I expect him to catch Merab in a submission, but maybe him. But if I had to bet everything I had, and this is not a very confident pick, it'd have to be Nurmagomedov, even though I just saw Merab beat him. Nurmagomedov had moments. He did get some takedowns. He's also still crazy young, so he can make jumps and improvement. He comes from a extremely good team, and that would probably be the guy. But still, I mean, Nurmagomedov would have to be like a negative 280, maybe negative 300 favorite.
I think so, and I agree with everything you said about Nurmagomedov. He's young. Their fight was competitive, especially early on, and Nurmagomedov has definite clear things that he can take back to the drawing board, and probably has taken back to the drawing board. Yeah, that's not a bad one. I'm getting way, way, way ahead of myself here, but knowing you're not going to push back on this. Like, give me Josh Van in 2 years.
Yeah, we'll get to Josh. Yeah, you guys better get ready for the Josh Van talk because I want to go crazy. I'm all in on Josh Van. Let's talk. I wasn't planning on talking about this, but I think Chris Woods made a really good point. He said O'Malley made a huge mistake by not taking a tune-up fight before going for the rematch. He was still in the loser mindset. I wonder what the winning percentage for ex-champs in that type of rematch. Now, I'm sure Jay Petchy could probably pull it up really quick. But do you think O'Malley should take a warm-up fight?
Yes, 100%. One, from a business standpoint, it would have made it easier to sell the rematch because we'd have something to talk about other than I stopped smoking weed and dyeing my hair. Because
Yeah.
that ended up, it sounded like garbage beforehand, and it ended up being garbage in the moment. Just to have him, hell, go out and beat Umar. So maybe he'd be able to say,
Oof.
yeah, you ground on Umar. I busted his face up. I didn't knock him out, but he was all bloody and shit
Yeah.
afterwards.
You have a much different like what you consider a warm-up fight than I do. To me, a warm-up fight is Cody Garbrandt. Like that's a warm-up fight.
Oh, well, I don't hate that either.
I set him up to get this spectacular knockout, you know, does the jump shot and all that and face plant somebody. That's what I would do. I don't know if I would have given Umar.
But you know me, I'm never in favor of an immediate title rematch unless there was some controversy or we're talking about somebody that had like 7 title defenses before they lost the belt. None of that about O'Malley.
Yeah, it's funny. Of the 2 people that have another fight, it was Merab that had another fight.
Yeah,
So,
he had another fight against a guy that he was the underdog in the Nurmagomedov fight. He's the big game hunter. He went straight for, okay, who's the baddest dude? Who's the one that you don't want me to beat? Because as unendingly cheerful and effusive as Merab Dvalishvili is, he's not an idiot. He knows that the UFC on some level hopes that the guy with pink hair and tattoos and a huge Twitch following beats him. He knows.
Yeah,
he knows that because it took him 11 fights to get here. So what does he do? He goes straight for the dude that he knows the UFC wants him to lose to. He goes for the guy with the famous last name and the undefeated record, and he beats him. Yeah.
No, I know. It's actually incredible. The one thing about Merab is I think he's starting to grow a fan base because he does have he does have a big personality. He's super funny, he's like this charming kind of guy in this like goofball kind of way. And then also the one way to grow a fan base is just keep winning. I mean, you talk about styles and fun. Let me take George St. Pierre. George St. Pierre was not an exciting fighter in his prime, but he had a huge cult following because people like dominance. People like seeing people win. So I think that's something that can happen for Merab. The question they kept asking, and I'm going to ask you is, he has 2 title defenses, but is Merab the GOAT? Is he the GOAT of Bantamweight?
When you consider whom he's beaten, there are 2 different questions here. There's best and there's greatest. I'm already comfortable saying he's the best bantamweight.
Oh, yeah. He smashes everybody. Like him versus Dominic Cruz. He smashes Dominic Cruz.
Greatest?
Yeah.
He's right in the conversation considering, I mean, he might already have been in the top 5 or 6 before he got the title just because of who he had to beat on the way up. It's easy to just go reflexively to Dominic Cruz, but obviously Cruz he is on the Mount Rushmore of what if stories.
Sure.
But in the moment, I'm thinking Merab is already the greatest bantamweight ever.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, if you go by title defenses, like normally if you just take it in a vacuum, I'd be like, get out of here. You're talking about a guy with 2 title defenses versus, I know Cruz is a little different because I'm counting the WEC title.
Of course.
But he has 5 versus 2. Usually that's like, get out of here. But when you think about the road that he had to take to get a shot versus Cruz at that time, it was much different. Like if Aljamain Sterling wasn't his teammate, this might not even be debate anymore because he might have won the title 2 years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, I'm so close, but yeah, I think he might be. He might be. I know when I watched Dominic Cruz, I never went, "Oh my god, who's gonna be able to beat this guy?" And I'm a Dominic Cruz fan.
Yeah.
Merab, it's who can beat this guy. And obviously, we've been following MMA long enough. There's gonna be somebody. Every time we think there's somebody that's unbeatable, besides John Jones, somebody has come along and beat them. And it's always good. It's going to happen. Let's talk about O'Malley for a second. I know some people talked about him possibly moving up to 145. We can address that in a second. I want to challenge you and say what I think his first change should be.
Okay.
One that might surprise people. I think he should dump his coach. I don't think your best friend should be a coach. I don't think you need a camp that's completely centered. He has a very like boxing style camp. I think it'd be good for him to be at a team and getting rounds in at an American top team at fill in the blank, whatever. I know things change, but he needs to go somewhere else. He needs a different team, a different coach, different atmosphere,
different training partners,
partners.
One of the big fish in the pond. Not you said it perfectly. The boxing camp where everything is built around you. There are some fighters who've been able to excel that way, but very, very few, honestly. Most competitors, even great ones, need someone pushing them around and making them do shit they don't want to do. And when you're the man and the camp is built around you, that's hard to find. Like, obviously, BJ Penn is the most extreme example, but there have been plenty. So I'm with you on that, actually. I thought you were going to say move up to 145.
No, I actually think that's a good idea too. But while Merab's the champ, you might as well. He's also big. Like he could put some muscle on his frame. He's he wouldn't be small.
He already looked a little more muscular than he did.
Yeah. Well, they mentioned that in the broadcast, but also like, and which I think is a smart move. Like it didn't work out for him, but I think that was a smart move going against a guy who's going to wrestle you, could be on your legs. But also like you just look at him, he's not going to be small at 145. I mean, look at him versus Volkanovski. And then obviously it's a lot fresher matchups for him. So I do think that I'm not like necessarily against Tim Welsh, but I think he needs someone who's going to be a little tougher on him, someone who's not going to take his shit. Also, like you talk about those boxing style camps. I mean, who really did it work for? Demetrius Johnson. Demetrius Johnson was the one guy. And I know he wasn't. There was a whole team, but there was like a smaller camp. He wasn't part of the massive, like during his heyday. He wasn't at Greg Jackson gym. I'm thinking about teams that was the peak in Demetrius Johnson's time. The Black Zillions, or now whatever it's called.
Yeah, and he had two secret weapons. One, he and Matt Hume had maybe the greatest like mental telepathy simpatico of any teacher and student ever. And two, it's undersold because he really didn't fight much in America, but he had Bibiano Fernandez as his main guy to train with that whole time. And Fernandez is one of the greatest fighters never to fight in the UFC.
Yeah, stud.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Stud. Yeah. Let's do this for real quick. So let's matchmake O'Malley, and then we'll get to Merab for a second. Let's do. I'll give you a name at 135, and then I'll give you a name at 145. You tell me, give me a letter grade, your excitement for them.
Okay.
So I got to get O'Malley a win. He's lost 2 in a row. I'm trying to get him a win. Okay, so I want to make that very clear. I want to get him a win at 135. So I want to make, but it's O'Malley, so it's got to be a big name. It's got to be somebody that casuals know, someone who can get on the mic and work with him. I'm not giving Song Yadong because he might not win that one. I'll give him Henry Cejudo.
Oh, dude. I like that. Can I offer up a quick what if?
Okay.
What if instead of this immediate rematch, O'Malley had been welcoming Patchy Mix to the UFC tonight? He dusts Patchy Mix based on what we saw of Mix. And what is the hype like for the Merab rematch in like October?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is why you take a fight in between, right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to give you a name at 145. So 145 changes. I don't have to get him 145 because, the way that is, one win, especially with Volkanovski kind of beating almost everybody in the division already. One win at 145, you're right back in the mix. But I'm giving him one that's a personality. I'll give him Gene Silva.
I mean, off the cuff, I don't favor him in that fight, but I love that fight. Because here's the thing.
Him barking at him and shit. No. he's got to bring back the sugar personality though.
Yeah. Well, and I have the feeling all that stuff is coming back. I have the feeling he's going to be.
I understand everyone's saying like Gene Silva kills him out. I don't want to be too sure about that.
John Butterfield, Brian Ortega at 145. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, how many matchups? I thought about what about him and Yair?
Oh, I mean,
there's more fun matchups.
That's a fight that we'd be clamoring for at some point if O'Malley was champ at 135. Oh, dude. So lots of options with O'Malley right now. And for what it's worth, he's 30 years old. And while I thought all the crap, about the lead up to the fight was bunk, like it's tough for me to take you seriously when you're like, I've changed my life. I've grown up. I'm a man now. I've stopped, social media. I've stopped smoking weed. I've stopped jacking off. I've stopped coloring my hair. And you're saying all this stuff while you're wearing sunglasses indoors. Like, I know that I sound like a grandpa here, but dude, put Pitbull versus O'Malley.
I like that one.
I don't even care which Pitbull you mean.
Yeah.
You could mean Patricky. You could mean, you can mean Betch Kohea for all I care. Like,
So it sounds like Corey Sandhagen, like when they had him in the audience, they mentioned it on the broadcast. Merab called him out. Is that the matchup you're doing? So the way we do the matchup, if you never watched the show before, the way we do the matchup is nobody has a say. We are the ultimate supreme emperors. We say this guy fights that guy. No one can say no. Don't care if it's teammates. Don't care if it's what it is. Is that the matchup you're making?
I'm A-okay with it. Yeah. Like off the cuff. And again, I wrote the Sherdog recaps tonight, so my brain can do 3 things at once apparently, but not 5. Like, I don't have long lists of matchups, but I like that one right off the cuff.
Again, I don't hate it. He's won 4 out of his 5, so I can see the argument. But my one argument against, I mean, besides everybody's a bad stylistic matchup. Like Merab's just. He's a tough test for anybody. But Sandhagen's on a 1-fight winning streak. His one fight, I think he was going to smash his way through Figueiredo, but then like he won on an injury, and I mean he was winning, and it looked like it was going to go that way. So there might have been a little bit like I almost felt like he got ripped off in that. I'm surprised at everybody who I'm picking. I'm going with the guy who won tonight. Bautista's on an 8-fight winning streak. He beat, I say what you want, he beat Jose Aldo. He just destroyed Patchy Mix that a lot of people thought was the guy to beat him.
And for what it's worth, we're not there yet, but I've not completely cut bait on Patchy Mix.
No, neither I.
Great fighters have completely shit the bed in their first UFC fight. I mean, I owe Bob Timpson an enormous mea culpa, which I'll get to when we get there, but I've not cut bait on Patchy entirely. Yeah.
But also, I think Bautista's a tougher opponent stylistically than Sandhagen is. I'm not saying he would win. Merab would be a big favorite, but I know I'm the only person, but I'm giving it to Bautista.
On the basis of deserve, I mean, regardless of what Merab calls for, as a guy that had to wait way too long for his own title shot, I have a tough time imagining him being shitty to a guy that's like, I won 8 in a row. Everyone's mad because I had a close, boring fight with Jose Aldo, but that's because they love Aldo. It's not because they hate me.
Yeah. All right, we got to move on. We're already 45 minutes in. We still have 12 more fights to recap. So before that, Julianna Pena defended her title against Kayla Harrison. And there is a new champion. Kayla Harrison won by 2nd round submission. And like I said,
who picked the fight then by submission? That's right, me.
You did. Like I said, I had a good night of picking how fights went. Like I said, I don't believe you saying this person win is the one that you picked right. Like just If you I think they're gonna come out wrestling, and then all of a sudden they land a flying knee, like, all right, cool, you picked the right person.
Mhm.
Kayla freaking mauled Julianna Pena. But before we get into the actual action, I gotta ask this question.
Okay.
Is she the greatest combat sports athlete ever, regardless of gender? Because people used to make that argument for Cejudo.
I never supported that argument with
Neither did
Cejudo.
I. Neither did I.
Like if you're the type that believed Cejudo's Triple C claims, she has an even better claim, like a more dominant Olympic run. But no, I don't. I could see getting there if she stays at 135 and racks up some impressive wins. If she moves up to 145 after this, no. Like there's nothing she could do at featherweight that would convince me. Like she would need to spend 15 years reconstructing Chris Cyborg's featherweight run to get any traction there from me. Like if she can stick at 135 and get another couple of key wins, like including Amanda Nunes, we could have a conversation. But right now, no.
Yeah, to me, it comes down to like this. So it comes down to what do you say is the greatest combat sports athlete? If your argument is you have to dominate multiple sports of combat, then I think Kayla's the one. For two reasons. One, I mean, she's won a UFC title. I know she didn't double champ like Cejudo did, but she's won a UFC title. She's probably been more dominant in her run to get to the title. And her run in judo was better than Cejudo's run in wrestling. Cejudo had won a hell of a Olympic tournament, obviously, but Harrison did it twice. So if that's your argument,
Cejudo was the best wrestler in the world for like 3 weeks.
Exactly. That's exactly, yeah. If you still go based on actual, like if you go by dominance in a combat sport singular, then to me it's not even an MMA fighter. It's probably Alexander Karelin and his, what was his record, 888-2 or some shit like that, or it's Mijan Lopez, the Cuban wrestler who won 5 straight Olympics. So to me, it's them two. Those guys are head and shoulders above anybody else. But if you want to make the argument, so I'm saying if you want to make the argument simply on the argument has to be they did 2 sports, then it's Kayla. I think it's Kayla.
I think at worst, Kayla kind of pans out into an equivalent for like Fabricio Verdum, because Verdum's accomplishments in BJJ there aren't many people you can say this about,
Sure.
but like they really are equivalent to winning 2 Olympic gold medals. When you count his Abu Dhabi wins, like in the no gi, his gi wins at Mundials, and then being an actual like UFC champ for a minute, like because he's one of the greatest heavyweight BJJ practitioners ever. He's on the Mount Rushmore, and at least at the time he retired, he was one of the 5 greatest MMA heavyweights of all time, arguably top 3, just based on who he beat.
I'm just kidding. Really got no one big slews after ballooning to 600 pounds in this show.
You know, when he lost all of his toes to frostbite, he couldn't do cardio anymore, and that's like, what am I talking about? Like he accomplished his greatest combat sports feat when he was like 50 pounds overweight. Like I'm not defending him there, but it's pretty awesome.
Antoine Wills asked, how do I feel about Joan Burrows? Obviously, Joan Burrows is an incredibly amazing American wrestler. Some would argue the greatest American wrestler ever. I don't. I put John Smith, the greatest American wrestler, but I get steak and lobster. like, you know, I got no problem if anyone wants to put Burrows number 1. But not if you talk about the actual sport, it's to me, it's Karelin. My one argument against Verdum versus there's 2 arguments. My one argument for Harrison over Verdum is the Olympics is every 4 years, not every year.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, jiu-jitsu is not really a sport. Like jiu-jitsu is fake. Like, anyways, let me ask you this. Obviously, Ronda is the standard. Ronda is the most marketable UFC female champion ever, or just female fighter ever.
Yeah.
Is Kayla the second?
if Misha or Holly had been able to keep winning, so they could throw the dominance along with, you know, the looks angle of marketing, but Kayla's at least within shouting distance of taking that number 2 spot. Well, sure, Nichols a lot bigger.
Yeah, it's funny that he says Keith puts Bo Nickel above Burroughs. They were not that long ago, the big beef between those two. Holly never had the personality. Even Misha didn't have the person. Misha has a look. They both. I mean, Holly has a look too. They're both beautiful women. Kayla has a like larger than life personality. You know, like she just has it. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously Gina Carano was the other one. I know she was never in the UFC. She was the one that would have it. But you know, one of the things on like the countdown show was Kayla Harrison saying, "Well, there's gonna be a new face of women's MMA." Is there another face of women's MMA than Kayla right now?
I mean, unless you're counting like that ghoulish shit that she looked like at the weigh-ins as like a different face, no.
Yeah, I mean, Whaley could be if she's. You know, I know she's been speaking English and she actually does pretty well at it, but she doesn't fight enough.
She doesn't fight enough, and it's a shame because you're right. Her English is coming along, and she was absolutely charming after her last win. Like,
absolutely,
she spit out just enough English, and you know what? For all the like the USA chants and stuff, American fight fans are not that bigoted. They mostly just want to see the best fighters fight. Like if you can win, sure, smile, and say a few nice things to the crowd in English, they're gonna be eaten out of your hand. Like,
yeah, it's funny. So you have Sean O'Malley, who's, you know, one of the biggest stars in the UFC, and like the marketable guy, the one that like transcends. I always say the guys who like transcends the sport. I got 3 texts. I always judge how popular a UFC event is going to be based on how many of my random friends who really don't watch that often reach out to me. I got 3 texts this week about fights on this card. I got 1 about Merab versus O'Malley. I got 2 for Peña versus Harrison. And I'm shocked, but Peña and Harrison stole the, like, I understand it was a rematch and Sean didn't talk this much and everything, but that was the fight people were more excited about was Peña and Harrison, even though Peña mauled them. I will say this about Harrison, and I said, you know, face MMA, and I think it's really good, and you know, her reign could be very short with Amanda Nunes coming back. But I've interviewed Kayla Harrison 4 times, and she is probably other than maybe one interview I did with Jens Pulver because it came out of nowhere. So it was so much fun. But Kayla Harrison might be my favorite person to talk to in MMA. I interviewed her and I did a whole long, we covered all the things went on. We covered her like child molestation and all that. And then and she's a star. And then we hung up. She talked to me for an hour. We hung up. I just talked to her like, hey, thanks so much. Like I was saying like that. And then we talked for like another half hour about child abuse and obviously, you know, this is what I do in my career, so I'm extremely passionate. I put away a child molester this week. I was super proud of that. Like, this is what I do. So for me and her to talk, like, I love Kayla. Like, I'll be honest, I can't not be biased. Like, because like that story kind of pulls on my heartstrings a little too much. Like, I can't not root for somebody like that. So I'm super happy for her. You know, I was thinking about when I was watching her and when she hit that Kamara. Remember? What was it? 2 years ago when she lost to Larissa Pacheco? Yeah. And she was exposed. She fraud checked. Everyone's got her figured out now. And then when she's going to move down to 135, it's going to be worse because now she's not going to be so much bigger and stronger. She could be trained. What a fake narrative that was.
Yeah. And I mean, even and again, owning up, I'm the guy that picked Peña to win the upset here. But I said, yeah, Larissa Pacheco laid out the blueprint to beat Kayla Harrison, but it's not a blueprint that most people can follow. Like, Larissa Pacheco basically mortgaged her in the entire rest of her career into just this laser-like focus on, I don't care about anything else. I'm beating this chick, and
Yeah.
just packed so much muscle on her frame that she couldn't do anything but fight at 155 pounds. I mean, I think she may actually have been heavier than Kayla by the last time they fought.
Yeah.
Like,
And don't forget
yeah,
that Kayla already beat it 2 times before that.
yeah,
So Kayla's still up.
yeah. She's still up 2-1, but
yeah.
yeah.
But on the flip side, I mean, Pacheco's a much better fighter now than she was when Kayla first beat her.
Yes.
And not that, I guess she could make 135 because not many people thought Kayla could. Pacheco came into the UFC or something like that happened, and
Yeah, and I mean, she was 135 her first time through. I mean, she was much, much smaller.
yeah,
Yeah.
but she's completely transformed her body. It'd be a little surprising. The other thing obviously stood out to me is how quick she hit that Kimura. I'm like, dude, how strong is that woman? That I remember there was like the 15-second mark, and she wasn't gonna get that head and arm triangle. I'm like, oh, so we're gonna go to the third round, and then I remember them saying she's going for the Kimura, and it was like 1.2 seconds later, it's a tap out. Like I don't. It's insane how strong she is.
It really is, and I'm speaking as somebody that I like Kimuras in my extremely limited grappling attack. Like my best offense is opposite arm attacks, from side control. The Kimura, the Americana, the key lock. To crank that thing in like 3 seconds, not even from side control. She was still in half guard. It was big sistering. It was inspirational. Like, all I need to do is get 10 times as strong as I am, and I can do that. Like,
I don't think I could do that to my 10-year-old son that quick if I was in the same exact position.
No, that was terrifying.
I think about her, and obviously you do gi jiu-jitsu or you do no gi?
Mostly no gi, which is basically wrestling, except you're allowed to guillotine the guy. But
sure.
I do gi as well sometimes.
Yeah, but I think so you're familiar with the gi. How much harder it is because someone will grab, like you're trying to come over somebody.
Everything's so much slower. It slows everything down. Yeah,
and they'll hold on to their pants, and it's like so much harder to pull through. That's what she's always done. She's always had to crank on somebody who's holding on to a gi. Something when you have Julianna Pena who can't do that. I mean, it was rough. And then obviously the thing that stood out was how much bigger she was than Julianna Pena. I mean, they looked one or two. It looked like a all right sparring session. Like, oh, this is my training partner today, but obviously I'm so much bigger than him. Like you had that happens in a wrestling room sometimes. Like that's what it looked like.
Yeah, that's. I completely agree, but I think it's a situation that is self-limiting. Here's my prediction. I haven't done any tape study yet. I don't need tape study to say this. When Amanda Nunes and Kayla Harrison fight, it'll be 145 pounds. They will not fight a bantamweight ever. There's no way that Nunes is coming off the shelf when she retired, because big reason she mentioned was that it was getting harder and harder to make weight.
Yeah.
Kayla looked dead on the scale. And basically, I mean, she all but said, this is getting harder.
Sure.
I know she credited Jesus with helping her cut that last pound. Jesus might be like, yo, I protected you from yourself once. Behold, I stand at the door of the 145-pound division and knock. Who will open the door to me? Here's my question. If Kayla right now is like, I can't make 135 anymore, I have to fight at featherweight, does the UFC reopen the division for her? Is she that big a star?
Yes,
do they do the Nunes experiment all over again?
Yes.
And just bring in chumps of the month for her to crumple into a small ball and throw into the third row?
I mean,
I think you're right.
Look how popular she was in the PFL. Basically carried the PFL for how many seasons? And now you could have her in the UFC doing that. And with the promotion machine the UFC is, absolutely, I would. I want to talk about Peña real quick. So Peña, the big narrative was, and you picked it this way. I agreed with the narrative. The later the fight went, the better chance that Peña had. She had to wear her out. Obviously, Kayla had to. The weigh-in pictures. This was the worst one. Obviously, she talked about that last pound was killer. Peña needed to win those later rounds. The problem is the way she was fighting early, she didn't have the volume. She needed a higher volume. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, you're going to need to win those later rounds. But the way that fight was going already, She wasn't going to. She didn't have Kayla work enough. The takedowns
I'm
easily.
I'm with you on that.
The resting on top. I'm like, you had to be willing to be taken down early, but still trying to get Kayla to open up at times and throw like a 3-4 punch combination, having her move and feint, and then just close the distance and get takedowns.
Or keep getting up and make her mat return you. Merab is a weird freak in that if you know you get back up 11 times and he takes you back down 12, you're getting tired faster than him. But most of the time, mat returns are hard on the attacking fighter. I mean, look at Alexander Romanov just basically slamming himself into losses. No, I'm with you. Like I saw a narrow window for Peña to pull the all-timer of an upset. That window was basically closed by the end of the first round. I was like, Peña is surviving, but she needed to survive and make Kayla work, and apparently she couldn't do both at the same time.
Yeah, like she was like trying to hang on to get to the fifth round, like it was magically going to happen. Like it was I will give a shout out to Shillan. I think that taking the point on those up kicks was I love that he took it right away because I mean you got 2 up kicks right in the face. The one thing I will say, and this needs to be changed in the rule books. When someone fouls somebody and you're in a certain position, they should ask that, and I've seen referees do this countless times, ask the fighter, do you want to be put back down? Because now it didn't matter in this case. It was about 30 seconds and nothing really happened in that round. But say this happened the 4.5 minute mark and you up kick somebody, now you get put back on the feet. Like, why did Kayla Harrison lose a position that she was easily winning in, and obviously where she wants to go? So that's a rule that really is long overdue that needs to be addressed. One thing I would say also about Kayla, she had a lot of pressure on her. And I think about all the way when she first, I think when she first joined the PFL and she was doing the interviews and it was like a year before she was making the debut and all that pump up. And she kept talking about, I'm the best in the world. And I think about when she was winning and we would have a hard time ranking her because she was in like a fake weight class and she was fighting a lot of bums. And we're like, yeah, she passes the eyeball test, but who has she beat? Remember we would struggle to even like rank her in our pound for pound and everything. It's nice. Like she put all this pressure on her and she talked a big game and then she backed it up. I mean, she's saying for 5, 6, 7, I don't know how many years now, I'm the best fighter in the world. Well, I don't know how long it's gonna last, but at least tonight she's the best fighter in the world.
Yep.
Obviously, it's basically a done deal. She's fighting Amanda Nunes next. Amanda Nunes coming out of retirement. Can I just say how much, like I said, Kayla Harrison is such a likable person. So is Amanda Nunes. I love that Amanda Nunes was hesitant to enter the cage because she didn't want to almost steal the moment from Kayla. And then even when she did, it was such a respectful thing. She bowed to her and they hugged hands, and it was trash talk, but in we both knew we were the 2 best in the world. We knew this day was. It wasn't. It was like a. I don't know, almost like a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes when they're talking about each other, or Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, where it's we're the 2 best and we're going to get put against each other. But it was respectful, competitive. It's not personal. It's just we both want to be the best.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: who's the betting favorite? I'm sure it's already up there, but if you had to guess,
my guess would be it's Nunes.
I agree.
One, because any lines that are out right now are futures lines, and they're going to be pushed by people that are hardcore enough to know who the hell Amanda Nunes is. 2, there's a little push from the kind of strange faction of people that don't like Kayla for some reason and are looking for who's going to beat this chick that I don't like. I'm with you. You sounded off on that, and for what it's worth, I'm with you on that.
We've gone off about people who be all. The Kayla Harrison one, that one will never. I mean, to me, that might be the biggest one. Put in the chat, guys. What do you think? Not who you think is winning, but just what you think the betting line would be right now. Like Nunes minus this, Nunes minus that. I don't think it'd be 2 to 1. I think it'd be pretty close. Like Nunes -150, -140, something like that. That's I kind of would assume.
I'm curious now, so I'm going to find out.
I've seen a lot of people saying that this would be the most. I mean, Joe Rogan said it over and over again. Do you think this is the most marketable female fight ever.
Okay, futures lines. Kayla Harrison is your favorite, minus 162. Amanda Nunes plus 136.
Wow.
So for the rich cadre of people in the chat that are saying that Amanda would hammer Kayla, go get you some money right now.
All right, another question before we move on. Does it headline a pay-per-view? Do they finally get the respect, or is it second?
I think they split the difference and cop out by having it be the co-main on one of the 3 tentpole events of the year, like International Fight Week or Noche UFC or the Madison Square Garden November show. That's what they do.
I'm thinking it's that New York card. I'm thinking it's going to be co-main event. That seems right. Amanda Nunes return. I don't know if they want to wait that long, but I mean, it's actually like 5 months from now. That might be a little too long, but it doesn't fit the no show.
It might not be too long if Amanda Nunes needs to get from couch shape to 135.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be the thing that I remember Linton Vassell telling me this, where I can only fight twice a year because I need 2 camps. I need a 6-week camp just to get me to like 228 pounds, and then my actual fight camp.
Yeah. I understand. Yeah. If I'm Kayla, I know you said this fight should be at 145. If I'm Kayla, like I've made 135, it sucks. But I've also been one in the gym. I haven't been on the couch. Obviously, we've seen Menounos like have some really bad, weight cuts where she's like almost got to get carried. Yeah, I'm. Oh yeah. Oh, Juice made a good point that it's a fight night in San Antonio now, not a pay-per-view. So yeah, that's a good point.
So the real question is, am I going to drive 3 hours to go to it? Probably.
See, I heard San Antonio is a dope city.
San Antonio is great.
If I didn't have so much like life stuff going on right now, because I'm taking a lot of time off from my regular job in July and August. So I'm like, I couldn't take more time, but Newark's not that far. It's like 4 hours. I could have went. I think it's gonna be that New York card. But actually we gotta go. We're already over an hour. We got a bunch of other fights. What are you doing, Peña?
I wonder if she ever fights again. What does she possibly stand to gain?
Yeah, other than money. I mean, she obviously there's no way she can't. The last 2 beatings she got from Nunes and Harrison. I mean, the only thing I could see is like you said, if they made Kayla said, I can't make 135, she goes up to 145, and then it's like now the division's open again.
Moves right back in, and she wins another terrible fight, becomes like a 3-time champ.
I will say this: if she does not fight again, I hope they put her on the bracket. She's good. She's good on those stuff.
And here's the interesting thing: I remember listening to her on the Spanish broadcast for Combate, and she's not good. Like no, like she's not bad. Like have her out there.
Obviously, she's very pretty. She's well spoken. I'm not even saying she has to do the Spanish broadcast, but
no, she could do the English broadcast. And I mean, she's a notorious kind of annoying shit talker as a fighter, but so was Michael Bisping, and he transitioned just fine to the desk.
Plus, without stating the obvious, she checks multiple boxes. So
yes.
I don't know what I'm talking about, but if she does want to fight again, I'm booking her against Nama Dumont.
Considering that Dumont is either an injury and a phone call or one signature win away from kind of being the obvious next choice herself, I like that just fine. And here's the thing. She is like Peña is the exact kind of fighter that I just talked about how, there's a path to victory against Kayla Harrison. Not everybody can follow it. If Norma Dumont just thinks because like she's big and strong, she can do that to Julianna Pena, she might be in for a rude awakening herself.
Oh,
like, I can see Peña just dragging her into an ugly ass fight and winning a splitter. And
Jake C mentioned Peña versus Barbara. Barbara moving up. That actually I don't hate that matchup. I also wouldn't be surprised if I know Peña said they talked about her. She mentioned on the broadcast her being undersized, and people asked her about 125 and that she couldn't make the weight, but she likes eating. I wonder when you feel the strength of Kayla Harrison, if that changed your mind. You'd be like, yeah, maybe I can go down to 125. Like I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility for her. I see a lot of people like talking about how hated and annoying.
Kayla needs like an Ozempic sponsorship as she just drives her entire division down to 125.
There you go. I will say this: people talk about how annoying Peña is, which is exactly why it works for the UFC. You know, and say what you want, Peña's like her promotion. She was on point. I thought she was like, I thought she won both press conferences of everybody on the press conference. I thought she did her best. Some of the stuff she doesn't make sense, but she's just passionate the way she says it.
And considering that this event desperately needed someone to carry the water in terms of hype, not only did the co-main event obviously outshine the main event, but Peña was holding more than her share of the weight in going back and forth with Harrison. Because I mean,
yeah.
Harrison is confident and she's a good speaker. I mean, she's somebody that's been in the spotlight since she was a teenager, but she's not a natural shit talker. She needs someone to bring that out of her. Like, Peña's like a tennis player, and Harrison's like the wall that people hit the tennis ball against for practice. Like to really bring her best out, she needs someone hitting shit at her hard. So yeah.
All right, so we've got the two title fights. We'll kind of go a little faster on it. We'll spend a little bit more time on the main card, and then we'll kind of breeze through some of the prelims. But third from the top, the fight we've been waiting for to go down for a long time. Kelvin Gastelum took on Joe Pyfer. Pyfer winning by unanimous decision. I will say this. It was the best win of Piper's career, name-wise. I don't think he looked good.
No, he didn't look good at all. I'm so glad you're on board with this because I know you're going to ask me in a little while for my dude seriously moments. The entire night, the entire booth was dude seriously. It was all the worst instincts of Rogan and DC together. But here, I'm totally on board because Pyfer looked like he was going to knock Gastelum out of his sneakers in the first round and then spent the entire second round chasing him around in straight lines and throwing one punch at a time at him. Like, he abandoned everything that made him light Gastelum up so badly in the first round. Yeah, Pyfer won, but it was closer than it needed to be and much more boring than it needed to be against a fighter that should not have been up to the task in Gastelum. Like, Pyfer should have been able to walk away being like, I'm the first guy to ever cleanly knock out Kelvin Gastelum with strikes. Like, the dude with the head full of 18 pounds of charo beans is unconscious in the middle of the octagon. I want a contender. And instead, like, people were booing by the end in the arena.
Yeah, I know.
It was going to take a lot for them to boo a big old jack dude from Philly an hour down the road, but damn, Pyfer didn't do it.
Yeah, Dev on Twitter, I think, said it best when he said Pyfer is a completely different fighter from the first round and the third round. I mean, he looked so crisp and hard and landing. I mean, the first punch he landed, dropped it. The way Gastelum went down and popped back up, it looked like the old like Barney Rubble punching back. You know, like would go bounce back. And honestly, Gastelum and Barney Rubble have about the same size head and everything. Actually, yeah, he looks a little bit like Fred Flintstone was Mexican. That could fit.
Pedro Pico Piedra.
Yeah,
his name in Spanish. There you go.
Gastelum, on the other hand, I mean, he still has a chin, but to me, that's really all he has. To me, he's completely shot when it comes to like top contenders. Like, he's not a contender at all.
Not right now, but without a serious retooling, he's not a gem. Like right now, he's like, I don't know, he's like a poor man's Marvin Vettori, just a big ox of a dude for the division that if he can bully you around, he'll probably win. If he can't, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So with that, I'm going to just use Gastelum before everyone realizes he's completely shot. I'm going to use him to kind of get over the next guy. So I'm giving him the winner of Ismail Nardiev and Jung Young Park.
I like that just fine. Either that or force him down to 170 and cut him when he misses weight.
Yeah. So somebody asked, saying that Kelvin would have won a 5-round fight. That's not fair because people fight differently. 3 rounds versus 5 rounds. It's just I've always hated that argument. Like when Usman and Chimaev fought, and they're like, well, if it was 5 rounds, Usman would have won. Yeah, if it was 5 rounds, Chimaev would have fought differently. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like it's like if I run a 100-yard dash and I start breathing hard, I'm like, well, dude, if you were at a 5K, you would have been really gassed. Like, why we also wouldn't have sprinted if it was a 5K, you know? What are you doing, Piper? I see people throwing Bo Nickel out there to, Piper took a shot at him this week. But I'm not doing that if I'm the UFC.
I wouldn't either. And here's the thing. It is because, as flawed as Pyfer is, I think Nickel needs an easier fight next. I think he needs a big step back if he wants to realize the potential that we both think he has. Like,
yeah, I'm giving Bo Nickel the worst guy in the UFC. Like,
okay, so Gastelum versus Nickel. And
no, I'm going like, yeah, Gastelum's like I don't know, brother or something, and or Pyfer. I'm giving the winner of Paulo Costa and Roman Kopylov.
Man, I liked that.
You know what? I'm gonna go the loser. Actually, I think I'm gonna go the loser of that matchup.
That might be smarter because you know what? Because I assume the winner of that's gonna be Kopylov, and I think Kopylov will beat Pyfer.
Yeah, and not even just that. Like, he's kind of past it. Like, he should be fine. So I'm gonna go the loser of that one. Especially and then if Costa loses, that like their personalities, I think that'd be kind of fun.
Oh yeah, no, Costa versus Pyfer, I like.
And honestly, just don't even have them weigh in. Just have them both roid up like you couldn't believe. Like roid them right in the middle, of the rounds. Remember in what was it? I don't know if it was Batman 3, Batman 4. One of them was like the Bane character, not the new ones, but the old ones with like, I don't know who is the George Clooney. I think it might have been
George Clooney and like Val Kilmer and
like Bane sat down and they like shot him with freaking steroids right there, and then he gets all up, or like the super shredder, like hit him with a super shredder. Give these two guys ooze in the middle of rounds, and then let them freaking swing it out.
I'm completely on board with that.
One of the fights, I should have been third for the top, but one of the fights that a lot of people thought we'd be saying this guy deserves a title shot, and a lot of people didn't think it was going to be Mario Bautista. They thought it was going to be Patrick Mix, as Patrick Mix made his UFC debut against Mario Bautista, and it couldn't have gone worse for him. I guess he could have got knocked out bad, so I guess it could have been worse. But I'm going to ask you a question. I know the answer is somewhere in the middle, but was this a good performance by Mario Bautista, or was this a bad performance from Patrick Mix?
It's both. That's the cop-out answer, but there's reasons to believe both. First things first, Bob Chimpson called me out on the preview show comment section for saying that Patrick Mix was athletic, because I did think he's fast and fluid on the ground, and I also thought he was a good athlete standing up. He looked slow and stiff and awkward against Bautista in a way that cannot be strictly explained just by his shelf time. Like I said earlier, I've not cut bait on him entirely, but he has basically everything to prove in his next fight in the UFC. Like if he shits the bed in his next fight in the UFC, he'll be the worst or like the most disappointing high profile signing since I can't think of when, because
Hector Lombard.
I think it might be worse than Lombard. I'm going back to.
Oh, I got one for you. Will Brooks.
Okay. Oh, the guy who beat Michael Chandler twice is coming to the UFC. That's the perfect one right there.
I don't know if I got it in before he did, but yeah. No, MVP. What are you talking about?
I'm not disappointed by MVP. MVP's turned into exactly what I kind of thought he would be, a borderline top 15 guy who's a lot of fun to watch. I'm okay with that. But I thought Mix was, if not a future champ, at least a future slot him in as a title contender for the next couple of years. And again, he might still be. Great fighters have looked terrible in their octagon debuts, but it's all on him to prove, because here's the problem. Bautista came out with fantastic game plan, fantastic tactical approach. Just the fact that he nailed Mix with clean counters on the way in twice in the first 30 seconds. And Mix, for a guy with 20-some professional fights, looked like he'd never been punched cleanly in the face before. Like,
Yeah,
He
he looked terrible. So to
he
answer
looked.
that question, I do
Ooh,
think
so could
Bautista
you?
looked good.
Oof.
I
Yeah,
think Bautista looked good, but I really think it was Mix looked terrible. I mean, he looked slow. That's 2 fights in a row. I mean, a lot of people, myself included, thought he lost his last fight before this. It was close. That like it wasn't a robbery,
yeah.
but
It
he
was
didn't look good.
close, and it was a rematch with a really good fighter. So I
Yeah,
was inclined to
sure.
give him a pass on that.
Yeah.
But
Batista looked way faster than him,
and
Chris, and his game plan was on point. He was the exact. He was the moving target. He was thrown to the body. So if Mix is, it's hard to duck under punches that are low down by the body. It just a really really good showing. And honestly, Mix looks so flat. Looked like he couldn't get out of first gear. He had no urgency. Like when he was down rounds. I at one point he did catch. He caught Bautista pretty good, like late, and he started like doing this I mean he punched him. He started doing like this Nate Diaz thing where he's raising his hands up, like punching. I'm like, dude, you
what do
have
you
20
hope it will
seconds. You better
happen?
like knock him out. And then where was the wrestling? I mean, I do think Bautista was moving up, so it was gonna be hard, but he wasn't pressing forward, trying to like shoot his shots. Like I know some people said that it looked like he was injured, and a lot of times we'll hear later on, like you find out he couldn't pull out, they needed the
But
money and
dude,
and 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 whatnot. And I know he took the fight on 3 weeks, and I know his argument was I'm never not in shape and never not in camp, but he looked. I mean, this is the worst showing since
easily.
God his probably his whole career.
Oh no, it's easy. I think it's easily the worst showing of his career. And yeah, it may come out that he was injured or ill, but you know what? Everybody is injured. No, if a fighter comes through their camp completely uninjured, they probably weren't training hard enough. Like, and I'm not like I'm not a fighter myself, but I see multiple UFC fighters in the gym every single week. Like,
Sure,
I don't talk about it obviously because it's like if you want it, I could give you an excuse for every one of Ricky Tercios's and Alex Morono's losses. I don't, because one, if you
sure,
ever met Alex, he makes no excuses for his own losses. Like, so who am I going to be to out him? Like, oh, I saw him turn his ankle or some shit. Like, everybody's injured, and the greats find a way to win when they don't have their best fastball.
sure.
I've said this
Yeah,
before about people like Merab, or hell, I like Bautista himself, who got so much shit for having such a lousy fight with Jose Aldo. You don't win that many fights in a row in a sport as volatile and unpredictable as MMA without a little bit of luck and a little bit of grit.
sure.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm not I was never on the Patty Mix is the best bantamweight in the world. I was never on that side. I wasn't anti it. I wasn't saying it's not in the realm of possibility. I was never that I think Patty Mix is going to win a UFC title. But I think the pendulum's going to get swung too far the other direction now that I see people say he's not even top 15, that he's a complete bum, he's a wash. Um,
Which
and it just simply, when you look at his resume at guys he beat, this wasn't a protected being Bellator and fight nobody kind of. That was not the case. He fought studs.
yeah.
So I feel like it's like a buyer's market on him now, and maybe it's. I don't. I saw someone reached out to me on Twitter and said, "Do you think it was Octagon Jitters?" No, I don't. Not for him. Not for someone who's been in such big fights. And I mean, when you're fighting, his finals for Bellator, you fight for $1 million prize. Yeah, I know it's
Yeah.
not like I know with the taxes and everything's completely not, but you get my point. Like he's fighting for some big money and he's been in some big spots. I don't think it was that. I'm not
He's
completely.
dating Tatiana Suarez, and like his bestie is Sean Strickland. He's been around for some high stakes shit. Like this isn't
Yeah,
Octagon Jitters. He just had a terrible fight, and I thought coming in that, like I said, I thought at worst he kind of slotted in as a reliable contender for a few years, like a very poor man's Aljamain Sterling. And again, that's on the low end. Now he kind of looked like the homeless man's Aljamain Sterling. Like plenty to prove going forward.
yeah, absolutely. Um, so Batista won 8 in a row. We kind of buried the lead on him a little bit. 8 in a row. I mean, say what you want. That's nothing to sneeze at. Are you believing in Batista?
Yeah, I believe him. I believe in Mario Bautista.
So do I.
I've seen what Bautista looks like when he doesn't have his best stuff. Still found a way to get his hand raised, and anybody that was naysaying him after the Aldo fight, I mean, they've got something else to pick at now, I suppose. But what the hell? It's kind of like Merab. Like eventually, they're just gonna run out of stuff to pick at. Here's the thing. Uh, I just mentioned how hard it is to string together a long win streak in MMA, period, let alone in this deep a division. But the things you can do to help yourself best are to be well-rounded, intelligent, and disciplined. Like, well, look at this. Bautista knew 7 minutes into this fight that he was absolutely styling on one of the hottest prospects the UFC had brought in the past decade. A lesser fighter might have decided, I'm going to knock this dude out and really, then I'm going to call for a title shot on the,
Sure.
there's a title fight further up the card. Did he do that? No. He buckled down, continued doing what he'd been doing so far, and Mix just had no window to get back into this fight at all. Even the few times he caught Bautista cleanly, Bautista's just so good at resetting, getting his hands back up. He was hurt. He was stung. He was never rocked. It was never like, oh shit, Mix is back in this. Such a disciplined performance. And that's going to get underrated and glossed over because what we remember down the line are the finishes. But next time Bautista fights, I'm going to rewatch this thing as part of my tape study, and I'm going to be impressed all over again at just what a consummately professional performance it was.
Yeah, and we didn't even see a lot of his calf kicks, so that's one of the best part of his games in this fight. In fighting, we didn't see that in this fight. So I already said I know I'm probably the only person on planet Earth saying I'm giving Mario Bautista the title shot. But what do you do with Mario?
I am A-okay with the title shot, but at worst, the cool thing about him, despite having 8 straight wins, there are top people he hasn't fought yet. You could, throw him in against somebody that's a little more established as a name, like a Jan or Sandhagen type, or I'm fine with you just slotting him in for a title shot.
Yeah, he's on a fight winning streak, but he ain't jumping gaps. He's fighting like 22nd best guy, 20th best guy, 18th, like all the way up. What are you doing with Mix? Obviously, I'm going to try. I'm trying to get him a win.
No, same here. I'm with you. Normally, you are crueler to aging fighters than I am, and I am crueler to fighters coming off a big loss. Like, I'm giving them a little step down, and you're like, no, let's let this dude build back up. I'm with you on this. I'd be fine giving me. And the problem is, it's not like there are any terrible fighters at 135.
No. It's the division's so loaded. I'm giving him a fight that isn't a complete like squash match, but stylistically, this is the guy he should beat. And I'm going exactly with who I'm saying.
We both clicked it at the same time, so it disappeared.
Yeah, I'm giving Rob Font. And the reason why, if he loses Font, and Font's on a 2-fight winning streak, so and has looked good, but stylistic match, that's always the tough matchup for Font.
If Mix cannot take down Rob Font, then he might as well go and wait for the call from GFL now. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on. Before we get to the Kevin Holland Vicente Luque fight, it was announced that Mark Kerr, the Smashing Machine, is the newest entry in the UFC Hall of Fame. Ben, you know how I feel about the UFC Hall of Fame. I say eventually everybody gets in. This to me is the perfect example. Mark Kerr was the biggest what if for so people talk about what ifs, and then people bring up Dominic Cruz and they bring up Cain Velasquez. Me and you are old enough to know the original what if was Mark Kerr. And there's a lot of what ifs. If you watch the Smashing Machine documentary, you know what the real problem is. The real problem isn't that Mark Kerr got into drugs, got into painkillers and stuff. The real problem is that Mark Kerr is a good dude. He is a kind and sensitive guy that, his big star-making moment was at World Fight 203 in 1996 or 1997 or whatever. And he literally said, if I see any blood, I'm dropping out of this tournament. Luckily, he whooped everybody so quickly he didn't have time to see the blood. But that's the guy. His mentor, Mark Coleman, is a hard dude who, he was ready to throw down at any time. Kerr wasn't that guy. So yeah, it's weird. What is Mark Kerr's best win in the UFC or in Pride,
Okay.
which, you know, they count
So
Pride.
so obviously Kerr. We'll get to the documentary movie thing in a second, but he's 4-0 in the UFC. I think he's spent like something like 4 minutes in the UFC. His best win was Daniel Bobish.
Dan Bobish, who, for what it's worth, Dan Bobish is one of the top 10 super heavyweights of all time. You know, he's
Okay, cool.
pretty good for a 330. No,
Yeah,
like he lamped Ranger Stott. Like,
yeah, he was and I know, so they call it the UFC Hall of Fame. When Sakuraba gets in, obviously they're talking about Pride record. He was 6-4 in Pride, which is good, but not great.
Yeah,
his best win was Ensign Inoue,
and you won't find a bigger Inoue fan than me.
But I mean, like Inoue, yeah, he caught Randy Couture very early, Randy Couture, but
yeah,
Mark Kerr got in for one reason only. They're making a movie about him, and Hollywood gave whoever's whatever studio is making the thing gave the UFC money to put him in the Hall of Fame to get a little more attention about the movie. That's it.
I hope they gave him money. The other option is that the UFC realized they'd look dumb if they were behind the curve on this.
I guess
maybe that's what Frank Shamrock needs to do, is just get a movie made about himself.
Yeah, I'm going to say too, the Smashing documentary was a good one because it was like innovative for its time. We never saw anything. We never saw a MMA documentary like that. I mean, I was covered about his steroid use and his painkillers and all that stuff. And I mean, that's like a classic. That's like, I don't know, for the MMA community, that's like Gone in the Wind or some shit. Like that's the standard. But the movie, I don't understand why we need a movie about the guy. I don't understand it. I don't. I'm gonna watch it obviously, and I hope it's good. But I already saw the documentary. What else? Why does Mark Kerr get a documentary and a movie? I don't get it.
And it was a fantastic documentary. Like, I'm one of the people that thinks, it's one of it's the best MMA documentary ever made.
It's a sad one too.
It's very sad.
If it wasn't for Mark Coleman winning, like his best friend winning the tournament, it would have been really sad.
Yes. But no, like they managed to kind of give a little light at the end of the tunnel there. But I almost wonder, because, they talked about this movie for at least a full year before we got confirmation that it was really being made. It almost feels like a work of, like, a labor of love for Dwayne Johnson in some way. Maybe he just kind of feels that somehow. I don't know why. Like, Dwayne Johnson, I mean, obviously he loves MMA, but he's a former University of Miami Hurricane football player that went to pro wrestling and never really did amateur wrestling. And Mark Kerr, despite what you would think, was never really crossed over into pro wrestling. I don't get it. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So Mr. C mentioned Vinny Paz deserved a movie. Mark Kerr, maybe not so much. Yeah, except for in the movie, there's a lot of fake things. So Vinny Paz is from my era. I've met Vinny Paz a bunch of times. Vinny Paz holds gloves for me. I like Vinny Paz. Vinny Paz is scumbag. And
I was afraid.
And
never meet your idols, folks.
Yeah, the guy's been arrested by every cop in the state of Rhode Island. And the whole, like, him falling asleep at the wheel. No, he was drunk. He got like semi-paralyzed, broke his vertebrae or whatever out of his own fault. He could have killed people. So, anyways, not going to go too far down that rabbit hole. But let's move on. Kevin Holland took on Vicente Luque. Holland won by second round knockout. This is what we get. Kevin Holland has flashes of absolute brilliance. And in the first round was okay. Second round, it was brilliant. Kevin Holland got an opportunity, jumped on his neck, caught, which was really cool that he got a submission against Vicente Luque, who's like, that's his game, catching like the head and arm. I mean, the head, I always call them the head chokes, your guillotines, your anacondas, your darces. Like, that's Luque's game, and Holland caught it. Super slick. And he's much better at welterweight.
Yep. He is, I mean, he's definitely the most frustrating fighter in the UFC right now, because at his best, he pulls off John Jones shit. Like the whole, because, aside from obviously the incredible win streak and then the names that Jones beat, it was just the kind of in the zone way he would go at these people almost like he was really competing with himself. And for Kevin Holland to now have Darce choked basically the two other he's Darce choked the two all-time leaders in the UFC in Darce chokes.
Yeah.
Like Michael Chiesa and Vicente Luque, for him to like punch out Jacare from sitting on his butt in guard. Like Holland at his best. It's the, I mean, I call it John Jones shit. Like it's also like the way BJ Penn stands felt about him in like 2006. Like when the right BJ Penn shows up, it's like a superhero. He can do whatever he feels like. And just like acting like he doesn't care the whole time. That's the appeal to Kevin Holland when he's at his best. But when he's at his worst, it is so frustrating to watch. Like just to hear him like laughing and talking while a 185 pounder is just winning rounds and undergoing no risk to themselves. Like if Kevin Holland is going to lose a fight, you typically know it within the first 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Luque, to me, he's shot. I know he's way younger than you think, but he's shot. Like, no, yeah. Is he getting knocked out? No, but like
Dude, I asked you on the preview, who's the oldest 33-year-old in the UFC? With all due respect to my professor, like, is it Kelvin Gastelum or is it Vicente Luque? Yeah. Like both guys made cases for themselves tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Luque on that one, but it's both bad. So because of that, I'm gonna match Luque up. I thought about using his name to get over somebody else, but then I'm just gonna put him in a matchup that two guys been around forever who haven't fought. I'm gonna put Luque versus Alessio Saleski dos Santos.
Oh, give me some Eliseo Capoeira, sure, man.
Yeah, third from the top on a fight night card. In the Apex. Holland, I think he made the right call, calling Kobe. And the reason why I'd say this, the top contenders, people who are rising, it's not worth fighting Kobe because I think everyone knows that Kobe's nothing now. He's shot himself. But Holland's the guy, he can get over some casual views from fans, but also Holland's willing to take that risk to lose to Kobe because he's never cared about running for the title or anything like where other guys can. Like Buckley taking on Kobe was like a lot of risk without a lot of reward. They'll have fun moments at press conferences. I'd have it, first fight of a pay-per-view opener or something like that. I think it was the right call
up. I'm completely on board with it. And Colby's getting to the point where whatever he may say, he's an extremely smart guy. He knows his stock has gone through the floor. Like he can't sit and be choosy anymore. And for what it's worth, Holland's a guy he can beat. So yeah, it is about as compelling a fight as that irrelevant a fight could possibly be.
Yeah. Before that, the headlining prelim fight was Josh Van took on Bruno Silva. Van win by third round TKO. This is another one. So this is another one that I hit absolutely perfectly. Where I even called a 10-8 round, and then the third round stoppage for Josh Van. But before we get to that, I got a stat for you, Ben. I'm going to give you a number. You tell me what this stat is for.
Okay.
The number is 1. What is that number? What does that stand for?
It's the number of flyweights in the UFC right now that you think would beat Josh Van.
That, dude, you know me. That is the number of flyweights right now that I would take over Josh Van. One guy, I would take the champion. That's it. I would take Josh Van over Brandon Moreno. I would take him over Manel Kopp. I'd take him over Brandon. I'd take him over everybody except for Pantoja. Am I crazy?
No, I typed this in the chat earlier on the show, and you were like talking at the time, so you may not have seen it, but the next time that we're doing a preview and you hear Keith say fighter A is under 25, so they're at the phase in their career where they can make huge jumps in skill from fight to fight, think about Josh Van's wrestling. It's gone from being okay to being really, really good, like as we've watched, offensive and defensive.
His scramble when Silva, they got all excited, the broadcasting got all excited, Silva took him down and instantly he just popped right back up and scrambled it. Like quick, he was up to his feet quicker than the sentence I just said.
It's frightening, and his pocket boxing it's starting to remind me of Dustin Poirier, where he loves to plant his feet in the pocket just because he trusts himself to. You're going to touch him, but he just trusts himself to parry, to slip, to roll with things just enough that you're not really ringing him up cleanly, and he's going to come back and hit you cleanly. And then add to that the fact that by the standards of the division he competes in, he may even have more power than Poirier, and he goes to the body more. He's becoming a terrifying boxer.
Dude, I'm all in on this kid. Like I mean, I've said it. He's going to win a UFC title. I'm 100% convinced on it. And I don't do that. His boxing is insane. His range, his understanding of boxing range, his elusiveness, his ability to slip just out of position, landing, the way he was doubling up the jab, the way he was cutting quick angles to get a different look when he attacks. His cardio is up there. He's coming into his power now. We're seeing them. That's 2 fights in a row. He's putting great guys down, battering them, landing shots. And he's really not even in his prime yet. Dude, I am completely sold. He was a -700 favorite, and we joked about that. It wasn't big enough.
Nope, that's what you do. Having said that, I liked Silva's approach to this fight. He fought a very smart fight for a guy that he knew as soon as he signed for this fight that Van was going to have huge advantages in speed and power over him. So what does he do? One, he kicks the legs because Van has no obvious huge gaping weaknesses, but he is a boxer by preference, and he can be a little heavy on the front foot. He can become a little concerned with his own offense as opposed to what his opponent's doing. So Bruno Silva kicks the legs, and when they do get into close quarters, he tries to make it a hockey fight. Like right before the end, he was doing stuff like grabbing a collar tie and then starting to try to sock him with uppercuts and stuff, because he knows that if they're just both moving and flowing freely in the pocket, he's going to get iced with a quickness. So smart stuff from Bruno Silva. If you're going to take a fight where your opponent is -700, you got, I guess a couple of approaches. You just go in and throw everything at him like a maniac, or you fight to your best possible advantage. I thought Bruno Silva did. I don't think, like, if I'm rating both these guys' performances, I definitely give Van an A, but I'm giving Bruno Silva at least a B or a B+. There were no obvious avenues to victory he didn't take.
The one thing I'll say about Bruno Silva, he's too tough for his own good. He took way too many shots. Like he's a tough SOB. What are we doing next for Josh Van? I'll let you go first because I want to surprise you with my pick.
I'm definitely giving him a top 10 guy next. Okay. Steve Erceg sounds like a good fight to me. Kai Kara France. I don't know why I hate people from Australia and New Zealand. I don't know why I'm doing this.
I think Kara France just got booked the title shot.
Okay, then give me Steve Erceg.
I think Erceg got booked too, but that's fine.
I'm sorry again. I was writing tonight, guys. Sorry, I'm usually more on the ball.
I'm giving him a main event next. I'm putting him in a fight night main event. I'm giving him Brandon Moreno. I say I'm going all in. I'm going. You know why? He's smashing Brandon Moreno. He's beating him.
No tape study. I do kind of favor him, but it would take a lot of tape study because Moreno has such a diverse skill set, and he's so smart. Like he fought 4 fights against the same guy and brought out new wrinkles each time.
Sure.
Like the reason he came out on top against Figueiredo, part of it is that Figueiredo was older and had more wear. Part of it is that he made better adjustments between each fight. So I'm not counting Moreno out, but I want to see the 2 best boxers in the division go at it.
Yeah, but you're forgetting one thing. Josh Van was so incredible, and he's so talented right now, and he's going to be even better 4 months from now.
And there you go.
Kid, I said it. He reminds me of Max Holloway. The rise of Max Holloway is Josh Van. All right, let's. This is the time we take a pause, get to know your host. We're already an hour and 45 minutes in, so we're gonna try to make this one a little quicker. Then this is gonna be a much longer show than we normally do. We'll breeze through a lot of these other fights. This is a fight that my daughter's softball team was discussing during practice, during warm-ups today. So Ben, the question to know your host, and we'll throw it out to the chat. Rank these three. Would you rather swim in a pool, swim in a lake, or swim at the beach? So give me the
Okay.
number one, three, go 3-1.
Okay. Quick clarification. By swim, do you mean just literally swimming is all you're doing, or do you mean just like spend a day?
You can do spending. It doesn't have to be just swimming.
Okay.
Spending.
Either way, lake is last, because the best thing to do on a lake is usually like go boating. I'm not a huge boating guy, and I'm not a huge fisherman. So lake is at the bottom either way. Honestly, just for swimming, give me pool. I like nice, clean water, unless I can see kids peeing in it. But beach is it for me, because there's more stuff you can do at the beach. If I want to just sit under the umbrella and read a book for a while and have a fruity drink with an umbrella in it, I can do that. If I want to go get in the water, I can do that. Like if I want to throw a frisbee or throw a football, I can do that. So I like the beach. I grew up on the East Coast. I live on the Gulf Coast. Give me the beach.
Dude, you're so funny, man. I was talking about how I should be the one living in Texas and you should be the one living around. I live in the ocean state. We have beaches everywhere. My number three, it's tough. I'm really torn. I'm going to go pool as my number three. I like a pool. I like a pool party, but usually, like when I'm if there's a pool, I'm more like I'm probably not getting in the water. I'm probably like, having a hot dog and having a beer and talking with people. So, and I always kind of like pool more like a kid thing than adult thing, So that's my number three. My number two, I'm gonna go beach, and I love the. I 100% agree with what you're saying. Though I hate like sand. I like the beach. I always swim last because I hate sand sticking to me. I don't mind my feet like being in sand. I just hate like wet sand on me. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
And like that, like when it gets like a little harder and you like got them stuck in your flip flops and stuff. The also thing
you're vacuuming it out of your car for the next year.
Yeah. And the other thing is, to me, the beach is the most dangerous. And I'm not talking about sharks. Or I've never, when I've been in the pool, worried about a shark. When I'm in the beach, worried about a shark. I'm talking about like undertows and shit like that. Like, if my kids are swimming at the beach, I'm watching them a lot more than I'm like. And I go with the lake. I like the lake atmosphere, the like swinging off a tire, jumping in the water.
Dude, you definitely should come to Texas. That reminds me, I got to tell you, like, okay, I live in Houston. Houston is over 3 hours away from Dallas. And for those who don't know, Keith loves Texas, but Dallas-Fort Worth, he loves. Dallas needs cops right now so badly that there are billboards on the freeway in Houston saying, move to Dallas and join the police force. Like, dude, you could be in the Dallas Police Department with full seniority 6 months from now if you wanted.
There's only one way. So I can retire in like 3 years from here. The only way I would go to another police department, and trust me, dude, I really do want to move to Texas. I love Texas. I was made to live in Fort Worth. And my oldest daughter, I really believe that she's going to move down there. But there's only one way I would go to another police department, and that's if I walk right in as a detective. My days of patrol and that shit's over. My days like chasing criminals. I'm too old for that shit.
They're putting up billboards asking for anybody in Houston,
Yeah.
hey, want to be a cop in Dallas? It's not even like they're putting up posters in police departments and constables' offices saying like, hey, you want to move to Dallas? We'll give you a signing bonus. It's like, yo, you driving by the sign, statistically that is probably not insured even because this is Houston, want to come to Dallas and be a cop. I'm pretty sure you could walk in with full seniority as a detective, but just telling you it's out there, man.
So it's funny. I just love that you put lake last and I put it first. So,
but that's why I said you need to move to Texas. Dude,
I know.
We got some lakes.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. Like, to me, being on a boat, drinking a beer on a boat, I want to live that country song. Like country songs with some guys on a boat, and they're like, that's me, dude. Like, All right. Before that, we had Asmat Mirzakhanov take on Bretson Habero. Mirzakhanov just ran right through, knocking him out quick. It was an absolute mismatch. We knew it based on the odds, and Mirzakhanov just came through. The dude's a real deal. He's a good wrestler. He's got good striking, great power. I'm sold.
Murzakanov? What's not to like except for the fact that he's 36, and even at 205, 36 is kind of getting on there, but he's not boring. He beats the shit out of people. For all the people that we've been kind of handed and compared to Fedor Emelianenko, he low-key is a little more like him than most.
How's his sweater game?
That's what I don't know.
He talks too much too. I mean, this was obviously a step down in competition. I mean, he needs to be, based on his record and what he's doing, needs to be.
He was supposed to be fighting Johnny Walker.
Yeah,
that was going to be.
I was going to give him a pass on that. Like, I'm going to give the UFC a pass on that.
Yeah.
That's the matchup I'm doing. He was booked against Walker.
Yeah.
He got a warm-up fight. I think he's doing the same thing to Johnny Walker.
And if he wrecks Johnny Walker, we're never seeing him on in prelims again. Hell, he might be in for a title shot next.
Before that, the most. So I said I had a really good night. I mean, I picked Murzakanov to face plant him. I picked Kayla to run through Peña. I picked Merab to get a submission. I had a good night. My worst call was Sergey Spivak beating Waldo Cortez Acosta, as that was not the case. Cortez Acosta won.
For what it's worth, I scored it for Spivak.
And so did I'm glad you said that. It was 10-3 on MMA decision. So I should have got that one too.
Yeah.
But
like if you're, and you've said this before, you're not keeping tally. You're saying, was my take on the fight correct?
But it wasn't though. It wasn't. I thought Cortez is I never believed in the guy, and the guy just keeps winning, and it gets to the point where it's like, dude, I gotta stop downing. Like, yeah, I do think Spivak won, but the way I expected him to win, like, I can't be like, oh yeah, this is a robbery. I thought Spivak had the chance to win, and he's his own, like, he's only to blame because he kept walking in the range and just simply not matching the output. And I always say that the worst defense is pillaring. You want a perfect example of it not working? Watch this fight where he's walking in with the high guard defense, pillaring, and it's just leaving his entire body open, and then Cortez just jabs him in the body. It's like, really, Spivak?
It's a terrible defense for MMA, period. It's especially a terrible defense if you're fighting a guy with longer arms than you that kind of knows how to box. Because when he wanted to, Cortez Acosta was just easily wrapping shit around like the pillar too. Like, yeah, it was the worst approach to fighting a guy whose only thing he has going for him is that he's a titanic dude that can actually throw a 1-2.
I'll say this: the one thing why I thought he was a bad wrestler early on, and I probably haven't given him enough credit since. Now you kind of have to give him credit. He's a decent. He's really improved his takedown defense, and he's got a good fight IQ. And that'll go a long way in a division that not many guys have, a fight IQ. Sure, there was 2 moments where he was picked up, and both times he reached over to the top of the cage twice, one in the second, one in the third. should have got a point taken or something happened. But I mean, it is what it is. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. He's now.
It's just such a flex that you can do that because that thing is higher than you think it is.
So he obviously he's on this big win streak. Are you believing him? I mean, you gotta stop respecting him, no?
I respect him. I already said earlier on the show that you don't win X number of fights in a row without, having to deal with different opponents with different weapon sets, maybe scratching out a win when you didn't have your best stuff. And it's heavyweight. So what if it's smoke and mirrors? Heavyweight is a smoke and mirrors division. I believe in him. And here's the thing. Short of the top 3 people in the division, there's nobody that I'm sure he can't beat. Like, he's not good, but the division is terrible right now.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Like, outside of Aspinall, Blades, like, who am I sure that he's not beating?
No. So he just beat a top 10 guy. I'm gonna give him a top 5 guy. I'm giving him Sergey Pavlovich.
Pavlovich would be the other guy that I'm like, I think. But then again, Pavlovich, has looked so horrible since and including the Aspinall fight that he might just be broke. He might just be broken, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he won his last fight, but he wasn't like spectacular.
Yeah.
Spivak, I mean, he's been losing a lot lately. He's at the point where he's got to be the test for the guys rising up. So I'm giving him the winner of Kenny and Chuko and Volta Walker. I know you don't have that.
I'm a-okay with that because yeah, Spivak is still a very young guy for the top 15, top 20 of this division, but he's not getting better. He's getting worse. Like he had been improving markedly. Like I had taken back so many of the mean things I said about the guy, but he's turning back into that dude that skated into the UFC on the back of like beating up Travis Fulton. And yeah, you might as well let him test the other guys coming in the division. And yeah, keep giving him the biggest people you can find. Maybe it'll inspire him to drop to 205.
Before that, Chaos Williams took on Andres Gustafsson. So neither one of us took Gustafsson. So there's actually another one that we got wrong. But I will say this. I'm so happy this guy won. Not that how he won, but just what this guy, he's been trying to get a fight forever. He's won the fight on everybody. Good for him. I'll say this. He hasn't got to get a lot of fans based on his fighting style, but he's going to beat a lot of guys in the UFC based on his just, I'm on the gas. I'm beating you with pressure. I'm getting the clinch. I'm wearing on you, and I can do this forever, and you can't.
Just the fact that he came in a week after having to make at least 180 and weighed in, had his foot on the gas the whole time, like just outmotored Chaos Williams. And it wasn't like he made a big deal about being, oh, I'm not technical. I just go out and beat people up. The Vikings were not technical. That particular Viking, somebody watched some tape on Chaos Williams because he denied Williams what is normally his ace card. Like Williams might be the hardest hitter in the whole division, and he's normally accurate and active enough that he gives himself the best chance to knock you out. Like running straight at Chaos Williams is usually a recipe for a nap. And instead, he closed the distance intelligently, kept mashing him against the cage, for a guy who says he's not technical, did a good job of cutting off the cage. And so the whole fight just consisted of him, like cutting off the cage, smashing Williams into the chain link and mugging him there. And Williams, I mean, he's not the hugest guy in the division, but we've not really seen him bullied like that, except maybe in the Michel Pereira fight. And even there, it wasn't just 85% clinch smashing.
Yeah. I mean, his pressure just absolutely broke Chaos Williams. He says, Gustin said Vikings aren't technical and they don't watch film and that. I don't know, but maybe there was a Viking who like hit the shores, got in the village, and just grabbed some guy and just pushed him against the house and just held him there as the rest of the guys pillaged everybody. I don't know, but that's what he is. I mean, he was so dominant. I went 10-8 in the second round. The third round. That's how dominant and good of a debut. Again, not gonna get a lot of fans, but he's gonna win a lot of matches. Before that, Ariane Lipsky took on everyone's favorite fighter, Wayne Kong. Everybody Wayne Kong tonight. Lipsky missed weight by 6 pounds. I don't know how much she had to give up, but I think when you lose by 6 pounds, you should give up like 60% of your purse. And here's the other thing is, I think if you miss weight, I don't care if it's by 1 pound or nothing. If you win, your win bonus should go to the other opponent.
Like, I mean, a percentage of it already does.
I know. I think the whole thing should go. Like you forfeit your win bonus if you miss weight, and goes to your opponent.
The fact that Wang Kong accepted the fight and got 25 or 30% of Lipsky da Silva's purse, I assume that there was a breakdown in translation, and she thought she was getting 25% of the contents of her actual purse, like handbag, and she assumed there were some good snacks in there or something. Because otherwise, I feel as though she could have held Lipsky's feet over the fire for more. It's not like that penalty is dictated by the athletic commission. Like there's an amount that's kind of traditional, but dude, and it was a bad night for the UFC booth, but they pointed out quite correctly that Lipsky looked like someone who had not really tried to make weight.
Yeah, she might be checked out. They came up with some, I don't know, some kind of medical thing. I don't know. But Wang was impressive. I mean, tons of leg kicks, hits hard. And the thing is, I know a lot of people like won this spectacular knockout. She also fought a whole weight, basically a whole weight class above what she was scheduled to. So I'll give her a pass on that. I think her call out was brilliant. The call out Jessica Andrade, I think that's a good opponent at this point of her career. What she's doing stylistically, I think it's a fun fight for her. I'm doing that. I'm giving them like co-main event of a fight night.
I think you kind of have to at this point. Like she's becoming undeniable in that division. She shouldn't be penalized for her opponent not really showing up.
Before that, Jika Sergey welcomed Ju Sung Yu into the UFC. This is the guy that, man, we were calling.
I mean, in the same way that my screen door welcomes me to my house, bang.
Hey, like, there's another one. I know I keep tooting my horn. I said he's gonna slip a big hammer and he's gonna put him. He's gonna face plant him, and that's this kid. I am sold. Like, I mean, dude, I'm so sold. I think this guy should be the president of Korea. Like, South Korea is just like.
Well, considering that like the South Korean legislature gets in fist fights on the rego, like I think they probably should get somebody like him in there. Yeah,
get him in there. You knock out friggin' the asshole from North Korea and move on. Yeah, this kid. I mean, this kid looks fantastic. I can't wait to see his next fight. I'm into him.
And we just talked about they're gonna eat you up if your fights are exciting. You win more than you lose. You learn 20 words in English and you put on a big smile. Like they ate him up. It helps that he already has a built-in Korean zombie connection, but.
Yeah, apparently Lipsky,
charming.
Apparently Lipsky ate him up too. Before that, Yanel Ashmus took on Quinlan Salkid. Salkid win by decision. I was really impressed by Salkid. Accurate, he's always had axe striking. I was very impressed with his wrestling. Like his wrestling was really good.
Oh, 100%. You and I both picked Salkid to win this. I thought ahead of the fight, and I still think now that Ashmus I think he's a pretty decent fighter. He's a guy that should stick around for a while. And if you told me that Salkid out wrestled him, I would assume that meant, that Ashmus went 1 for 9 on takedowns and was just like diving at air while getting pieced up on the feet. I would not have expected that Salkid was taking him down and doing stuff like scooping him completely off the ground and slamming him and like launching him from back control for mat returns. Like offensive wrestling performance. To see the taller, skinnier guy do that to the fire plug was really, really impressive stuff.
Yeah, and I mean the dude's only 25 years old too, so I love that. He's super young, and you see him adding skills to his game. I'm sold. Like I think this guy could be a future top 15 guy. That obviously is an insane division, but he showed against a good, tough. Ashmus is a good quality UFC fighter, so. Really, really good showing from Salkid. And opening the card, Malkel Medeiros took on Mark Choinsky, winning. Medeiros won by unanimous decision. I think Choinsky, and I apologize if I'm saying his name wrong. It seemed like in the middle of the fight, he had that, oh shit, I'm not in this level. There's levels to this UFC thing. I'm not ready moment.
Yeah, I agree. And Medeiros seemed to realize it as well. I mean, I wasn't thrilled with kind of how Medeiros was getting a little fancy Dan towards the end of the fight instead of just pouring it on and maybe, getting a finish or really putting a stamp on.
His kicks were he was destroying with those kicks.
I was mildly surprised it made it out of the second round. I mean, Choinsky was limping by the end of the first round, hobbling by the end of the second, and by the third, every time he touched that leg, he went down. Like that was a complete, like, in light of that, for Markel Medeiros not to get the finish was kind of like, dude, why'd you play with your food? Like he was so obviously outclassed, had no answer for what you were doing. Why didn't you do it a few more times?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like he could have turned on it. The guy's 3-0 in the UFC. I'm not like completely so he's contender, but he's done something like I got a little arrow going up for him. Like he had a good performance. So there you guys have it. We have covered all 12 fights. Let's do the fun stuff. The awards, Bulls and Bears, the cut list, dude, seriously, our grades, and our listener of the night. Ben, do we have awards?
We should. Let me take a look here. Yes, we have no fight of the night, but we have 4 performances of the night.
Oh, I think it was 4 or 5. I think I had 5 written down, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have a hard time not giving one. Then people throw in the chat what you would give for the 4 performances. I'm gonna go Kayla. What she did, that Kimura. I know she was this massive favorite, and this is what she was supposed to do, but that Kimura super fast. I'm obviously that KO. That's a KO of the year. If that was a main event, that's KO. That's no brainer KO of the year. I'm gonna go Merab. I mean, subbing O'Malley, and I'm gonna go Mirzakhanov. I mean those. I mean, is there one I'm missing? Is there a finish I didn't get? Oh, Holland. Yeah, I'm leaving Holland off the list. I'm going those 4. What did you got, Ben? Of those 5, those were the 5 finishes. Are you leaving one of them off the list?
I mean,
which one?
I would have given awards to all 5, but I'm fine with what they gave out. Which, I mean, you had it, Keith, thou hadst it. Merab Dvalishvili, Kayla Harrison, Kevin Holland, and Jusang Yu.
Oh, so I went with Mirzakhanov. So Holland got over Mirzakhanov. So okay.
Yeah, Holland got it over Mirzakhanov.
I'm cool with
and
that.
I'm fine with that because I mean both of them were favored, but one was massively favored, and Holland once again handing a fighter like his own medicine. That's impressive stuff.
Yeah, you know what? I think you convinced me. I think the way he did it. I'll take that back. I think the UFC actually did pick the right ones tonight. So nice job. Let's go to the cut list. So the cut list. And guys, I'm not putting up the graphics today based on what we did, the tribute we did for Jordan. So we're gonna leave the normal graphics up because when they put those graphics up, it covers up our names and stuff. So I get 2 for the cut list. So the way cut list works is if both me and Ben have the same name, we give the UFC permission to get rid of them. How many do you have, Ben?
I actually have 2. I wonder if they're the same too.
I would guess they are. So why'd you give me your first one?
Ariane Lipski de Silva.
Yeah, it's time.
She's 7-7 in the UFC. She really hasn't beaten anybody very good, and
she lost 3 in a row.
If she's lost 3 in a row, and she seemed mentally checked out.
Yeah, missed weight by 6 pounds. Is your other one Jika Saragi?
It is actually not.
Oh. He's 1-3 in the UFC. So you save Jika Saragi. Who am I saving?
You're saving Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum. He's lost 4 of 5. He's 500 at the division he's probably going to fight at for the rest of the way on out. And when's the last time he beat somebody good?
No. Michael Bisping.
And that's
I'm making a joke,
but no, that's literally what the UFC booth came with. He knocked out Michael Bisping. If that's how far you have to dig to convince me that he's a threat in this fight, it's probably time for him to swing off into the sunset.
What was that? 10 years ago? Seriously, was it over 10 years? Was it 10 years ago?
I don't think it was quite 10. Wasn't it like 2017 or something? So it's like 8 years ago. Yeah,
almost. It's like if it was a car, it has over 200,000 miles on it. So let's get to the Bulls and the Bears. The Bulls and Bears are a stock market version. You want to be on the Bulls list. You don't want to be on the Bears list. We just went negative. Let's go negative again. Is that all right, Ben?
Absolutely.
You mind if I go first?
Oh, go for it, please.
All right, my number 3. We do this hockey style 3, 2, 1, and people put in the chat what yours are. We'll try to read off as many as we can. I'm going to go Sergey Spivak. I mean, I do think he should have won this fight, but regardless, I felt like this was a good stylistic matchup for him. He's lost 3 out of 4. He's very young, so he could still turn around. He's very young for a heavyweight, but he's young, but he also has a lot of miles. So he's sliding the wrong way when he should be going up. Not good for Sergey Spivak. My number 2, I'm going to give to a couple. I don't think they're married. I think they're just dating. but it's going to be the patchy mix, Tatiana Suarez household. That's I don't know
if they get married, the best man is going to be Sean Strickland. So throw him in there too. He's lost 2 of his last 3.
not good. I mean, both had looked. Not that they just lose. They both were favorites, and they both lost pretty bad in bad performances.
And like, yeah, we didn't even get to see what they're supposed to be good at.
No, I give Suarez was trying. I'll give and Suarez lost to Weili Zhang, who's once in a lifetime talent. I mean, you talk about somebody who's on the Mount, probably on the Mount Rushmore of female fighters. I mean, she's awesome. So I give Suarez a little bit more of a pass. Mix, really bad performance. They got to turn that around. And my number one, he won't drop too much in the casual fans because he'll always have a name, and he kind of has like that Nate Diaz. It doesn't matter how many times you lose, people still go tune in. But for the hardcores, O'Malley's lost 2 in a row now to the champion. And I mean, anytime you lose to the champion twice, you know you're on like that. What do you do with you? You can't fight the champion. You might have to leave the weight class to be relevant. I mean, O'Malley's stock has really obviously dropped. Ben, what do you got?
Well, let me just throw in that I completely agree with that last one. And it's not even like a Volkanovski versus Holloway thing where it was closer the second time. Like, to lose twice to the champ, and it was emphatic the second time.
Yeah, it was
makes
worse.
it worse. Like what would O'Malley have to do to get back to a title shot while Merab is in? Yeah, so 100% with you on that.
Yeah, somebody in the chat said something like O'Malley could train for Merab like every day for the next 10 years and nothing's going to change.
Well, yeah, because wrestling is the hardest thing to learn from the ground up.
Yeah, and
give me someone who's been wrestling since they were 5, and let me start teaching them striking at age 20 rather than the other way around, for sure.
Yeah, Merab's man.
I'm with you on those, so I'm not going to come up with like 3 more to pile on there, but I will go ahead and throw in Julianna Pena. Yeah, she lost. She was supposed to lose.
Sure.
But the thing that she's supposed to kind of always have in her back pocket that, yeah, she's this like pretty girl, but tough as nails, throws every fight into the mud and wins some fights she isn't supposed to win. That went away here. She got smoked in a fight where she was supposed to get smoked. So yeah, that's not a great look for her.
Yeah, the mud one. So I thought Chaos Williams in there too. He's going the wrong direction. All right, let's go to the Bulls list. These are the lists you want to be on. Same thing we do at Hockey Style 3, 2, 1. Ben, I'll let you go first.
Okay. Plenty of Bulls on this one. This one's actually much harder to pick.
Same.
I already said Azamat Murzakanov was one of the, if not the quietest undefeated fighter in the UFC. That's starting to go away. If he had beaten Johnny Walker instead of Brenjison Ribeiro, again, I don't think we ever see him on an undercard again. That might be the case anyway. He's starting to become undeniable. For him to get this win in front of New Jersey, best thing that could have happened to him. So he's on my Bulls list. Bulls list number 2, Andreas Gustafsson. He had 4 different opponents on 3 different dates, including one as late as last week that fell out on the day before his fight. He must have been so damn frustrated. Finally got his debut. He made it count. He looked really good. He short-circuited one of the more dangerous fighters in the division. Fantastic performance by him. And I'm leaving a bunch here for you. I'm going to leave the one that I think is probably the most obvious. And I'll take Ju Sang Yu. Talk about a guy that we may not ever see on the prelims again. Look no further than his mentor. There are so many fighters in the UFC that Dana White can barely remember their names. He was wearing Korean Zombie t-shirts to stuff after Korean Zombie's second UFC fight. Ju Sang Yu just cut the line in front of about 20 or 30 people in arguably the most crowded division in the entire UFC.
Yeah. I mean, It's so funny. He fights nothing like the Grand Zombie too. He's so smooth. Uh, I'll give you a couple other ones. My number 3, Mario Bautista. I mean, he's won 8 in a row. We talk. I don't like. I'm calling for him to get a touchdown. I don't think he's going to. But the point is, that phone call, he ain't far down the list anymore. 1 or 2, and he's getting the call. So Mario Bautista's stock continues to rise. My number 2, it's Josh Van. I mean, the kid's. I think he's the best fighter under 25 years old on the planet. I'm completely sold on Josh Van. He just continues to look better and better. And my number 1, it's always my number 1 when they win the title for the first time. Kayla does it. I mean, she might arguably be the greatest combat athlete ever. She has put this pressure on herself to be the best in the world for a long time now, and she has come through. So to me, it's Kayla Harrison. Ben, let's get to some dude seriously. I got a shitload of dude seriously.
Even I have a few, and I had, some. I was writing a lot. Okay, dude, seriously, I understand. Like, I've been watching this sport long enough to understand that the booth's job is not just to tell you what's happening on the screen, but to sell you what's happening on the screen. They have to take some extreme takes. They have to convince you that you're watching something that is worth your time, and in this case was worth your money. I think tonight I heard the worst take I have heard from the UFC booth ever, and it is 5 simple words: Julianna Pena hits unbelievably hard. That is one of the worst takes I've heard from the UFC booth ever. And I've been around this shit for a lot of years, many years of which had Mike Goldberg in them. Like, even if you want to convince me that Julianna Pena is a live dog here, and I picked her to pull the upset, that's not where you go. You go with Julianna Pena has proven that she can take a bunch of punishment, tire her opponent out, and choke them the shit out, and say, look no further than the Amanda Nunes fight. You don't say Julianna Pena hits unbelievably hard. That is the worst overstatement of a title fighter's power since Dan Hardy only has to touch George St. Pierre's chin once. That's unbelievably bad. Dude, seriously, first fight of the night, we got Markel Medeiros versus Mark Chowinski. And Joe Rogan, the most checked out person on the in the UFC's broadcast pool, which is saying a lot, decides to split the difference by calling one of them Marquez. So not only is he getting the name wrong, but he's getting it wrong in a way that I'm not sure which guy he's talking about.
I give him a pass for that because I'll fuck up like that too. So
and
I can't throw rocks when I live in a glass house. So
and I generally don't absolutely despise Daniel Cormier's work. I mostly dislike it when he's working with Rogan because they just kind of feed off each other.
Sure.
But he more or less freely admitted that he doesn't follow the sport, that he covers 25, 28, 30 events a year, just asking about a particular, like, ref. Oh, that bad ref. Has he reffed again yet? Like, when Dominic Cruz said he doesn't like working with DC because DC doesn't do his homework, and everybody thought Cruz was the bad guy, think of the person at your workplace that doesn't pull their weight. Like, DC just cheerfully admitting that he doesn't really follow the sport that he covers for a living just drove me bug shit.
Portland, Maine's got me so good. I said Portland, Maine.
and see,
that was good, dude. That chick is funny.
She killed me.
She's good.
I don't know. I don't know if she's the pound for pound funniest listener, but I know she's really short, so she's probably like the centimeter for centimeter funniest listener.
Her Ninja Kitty. That's the battle. Those two. There's a couple other ones really good. That was a good one. Anytime people make fun of me, I find it super funny. I don't know. All right. Let me get to some dudes seriously. I when I say I get a lot. The UFC broadcast kept calling Chowinski a wrestling All-American without putting in the D3. Like, dude, seriously, like, especially DC, that would be like calling someone an MMA world champion, and then you're talking about like Cage Titans. Like, cool. I'm not shitting on D3. D3 All-American is tough accomplishment, but when you say All-American,
they can wrestle the shit out. Well, there was some woman who debuted in the UFC within the last month or so that her Instagram profile says she's like a Mundial's winner. I'm like, how did I miss her? And then I realized she was a Mundial's winner at blue belt.
Yeah, there you go. So,
dude, seriously.
I will go positive though, because like DC saying he when he goes against an Australian in wrestling, it's like getting a bye. Like, dude, seriously.
That's cold, dude.
It's but it is so true. Dude, seriously, Joe Rogan having a whole breakdown on Ariana Lipsky's medical. Like, I don't believe that. And it doesn't add up. It's like, all right, Dr. Rogan over here. Like, dude, seriously.
Look, opinions can differ on the value of his show, but spending literally like 10 years in an environment where everybody comes to him and nobody really challenges him on anything fact-wise has not done him good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like who's like the most intelligent mind he talks to is like Theo Vaughn. Like, that's not a good sign. Joe Rogan, when he's watching Gustafsson fight and it's like boring clinching, he's like, oh, I'm loving this. Like, dude, seriously. Like when he said, oh, they're all booing him, and he's like, oh, I loved it. Like, dude, seriously. Like, stop being such a hipster. Like, you can admit that a fight's boring. It's like, oh, the intricacies of clinching against the cage and Greco-Roman. Like, Greco-Roman wrestling is the most boring time to wrestling. It's like the people who watch Taxi Driver and says how fun the movie is. Like, dude, seriously, it was so fucking boring.
It's not fun. Like, it's fun to watch him spend like 8 minutes like shooting everybody, but yeah, otherwise it's a very slow 70s build movie.
Yeah, like dude, seriously.
Here's the thing: you can show off how cool you are without pretending that a boring fight is interesting. Like, again, I don't know why I'm praising him so much. Maybe it's because he didn't work tonight, but look no further than Dominic Cruz saying that a clinch series against the fence is boring. And he's like, the reason so many women's fights are like this is because women don't train to pummel for underhooks enough. So they just end up stuck against the fence until the referee breaks them up. One, you admit that what's going on is boring. And two, you make me smarter by explaining to me why it's boring.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, but being a hipster, it's like my friend goes like a Dave Matthews concert, and Dave Matthews, like they sing like the hit song, and then they go like 20-minute instrumental, and they gotta pretend like it's all cool. It's like, dude, seriously, shut up. But no one likes that. Again, Bruce Buffer reading the 30-27 first, which clearly showed that Cortez Constant won. Like, dude, seriously, like, you have the easiest, like, you might have the easiest job in the world. Like, dude, seriously. I want Mirzakhanov being, I don't care. I want a ranked fighter, but if I don't get a ranked fighter, at least give me a main event. Like, dude, seriously. Like the UFC is gonna be like, well, Mirzakhanov, we're not gonna give you a ranked fighter, but here's a main event against OSP. Like, dude, seriously, come on. You get a much better chance of getting a ranked fighter than you get a main event. I don't know who this was. I don't know if you caught this. They went through the celebrities in the crowd. I'm going to show my age. Earlier in the show, you guys were breaking down favorite Wu-Tang members. I can get into that debate, but
dude, somebody threw Deck out as the most underrated one. I was like, dude, we had this talk, and yeah, Keith's a Deck guy.
Oh, he absolutely is.
Yeah,
I mean, I like Ghost. I like Ghost, and obviously Meth, and Raekwon. But yeah.
And after kind of the initial phase, like Deck's solo work and guest verses are top tier.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like he would just show up on like Gangstar stuff and just be incredible. Yeah.
All right. So 2 40-year-old guys, what we're talking. But that said,
I wish I was a 40-year-old guy. I'm a 50-year-old guy.
That said, I don't know who is, and I might be getting this guy's name wrong, but dude, seriously, I think they said a boogie with a hoodie is the dude's name. Like, dude, please, guys, I know someone in the chat knows who that is. Did I hear it wrong? Is the guy rapper name
Boogie with a hoodie was exactly what they called him.
Is that his real name? A boogie with a hoodie, dude? Seriously, that's his stage name. I don't know if I love it or be like, come on. Look at Dev trying to see. There's a hipster right there. There's a hipster right there. Capadonna is the best. First of all, he's not even a Wu-Tang member. He was like added way after. Like, get out of here, dude.
No, one of my earliest long arguments with Jordan Breen was over the real reason why Capadonna wasn't on the first Wu-Tang album. because you heard that he was in jail. You heard that he was just down in the park playing chess, and like didn't show up at the studio that day. Like, yeah, nobody knows.
Nobody knows. But they should replace him. They should replace him with a boogie with a hoodie. Julianna Pena had a bad night, but even worse, she comes out to Sound of Silence, which is Simon and Garfunkel, all-time classic, like soft but like super like dope. And then you have Disturbed, who does like one of the best remakes ever. She doesn't even pick that. She picks the Disturbed with a like dance remix. Like, dude, seriously? Like, really, Julianna Pena?
Julianna Pena ruins everything. But like, what else can you expect? That reminds me, like, it's dude seriously more than serious criticism. But Sean O'Malley walking out to Lee Greenwood's, like, God bless the USA. Okay, one,
The
it's
president
not
didn't come out to that.
like it's. I understand you're pandering to the crowd. Like,
Sure.
I've been in Houston when Surreal Gone walked out to like Mike Jones Still Tipping. Like, I understand that you're pandering to the crowd.
Yeah, and if I was there, I'd be like, this is magical.
This is magical, and you might have had your hand up for like like the worship like wave. But I'm trying to picture Sean O'Malley at home listening to like some mid-ass 80s country, like some Lee Greenwood.
Because you think that like that's what Trump would have came out to. No, Sean O'Malley did, but I can't talk. I was in like Fort Worth, Texas, and they had this whole big. They had at the rodeo. They had this whole presentation of America, and this like cowboy came out on a horse, riding around like the late on the horse, holding a flag with that song playing. I think I was getting teary eyed. I'm like, I love Texas. Anyways,
Texas is great, man.
All right, my last one. All right. How many times is this going to happen at the UFC? The barrier breaking. Like, you guys make stronger like foundations. Like, dude, seriously, come on.
And
imagine if it landed on Merab and he couldn't fight.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, we're getting dangerously close to a Kevin Randleman slipping on the pipes thing, and that's only funny because it happened in 1998. Like, if that happened today, think of how much money would just evaporate.
That's what they should have said happened to Macy Barber. Anyways, all right, Ben, what was your grade for the card?
I'd give this card an A-. Like, anytime you like, it was much more exciting and competitive than you would expect to be for a card that was full of like 5-1 favorites. Like, those matchups either ended up being intriguingly close or ended up being just complete blowouts that were fun in their own way. We had a knockout of the year and a submission of the year contender. That's great. Neither of the two title fights ended with stupidity. So yeah, I give it an A-. And I might revise this to an A tomorrow by the cold light of day. It was a pretty damn good card.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'll say I think A- is a good one. It was a really good card. I'm really happy. So. All right, always the hardest question of the night. Who is your listener of the night, Ben?
I want to give it ironically to the dude that showed up in the middle of the chat and started threatening to like come fight me.
Oh,
I'm not a tough guy, dude, but I'm also not hard to find.
Oh shit! Look at Ben.
I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, look at Ben saying send location. Look at Ben. I didn't catch any of this. I must have missed it.
Yeah. Man,
it must have been when I was going crazy about Josh.
Mr. C saying Ari Emanuel thought he was slick having the matchmakers line up 3 Jewish fighters in a row, Shawinski, Ashmuz, and Jew. Like, made me almost slide out of my chair. So I'm giving them that one.
Yeah. So I actually had Mr. C written down on my list. So I'm gonna. Everyone was fantastic.
Yeah, seriously.
Iman Report. Dev doesn't count. Dev
doesn't count. And
Antoine Willis, Ninja Kitty.
Portia Baines tonight was like Amanda Nunes. Like, she's not supposed to be allowed to win anymore, so she just shows up and flexes.
Yeah.
Like, basically to make us like regret retiring her from consideration. So yeah.
Yeah. There was some really, really good ones that had me laugh, and some people came in really hard early. I'm, you know what? That Portland, Maine. I know I did not call it Portland, Maine, but that shit was funny. So I'm gonna give it to Portia
Well,
Maines.
here's the thing. In defense of Keith, Daniel Cormier would have done the same thing, but he would have meant Portland, Oregon. So it could always be worse.
Anyway, so there you guys have it. We have covered all 13 fights, the most in-depth recap show of all time. Again, we started this show. If you came in late, go back and win this post. Check out the tribute we did for the late great Jordan Breen. Also, obviously, we're still praying for Ben Askren at this time. We thank you guys so much. Thank you for keeping it. We went really late tonight. It was actually one of our longer ones. So we'll be back. We have UFC. I don't know where it is. Atlanta?
Yes.
It's Atlanta. UFC Atlanta. Hot Atlanta as Kamaru.
Are you going Antoine Willis?
What?
Let us know. Antoine Willis lives in Atlanta, so I'm just.
Oh, is
know.
he?
Are you
Nice.
Going? Yeah.
Nice.
And of course, Adam Duffy lives in Atlanta. So Adam.
So what's we're gonna do? Antoine, message me on Twitter because you're gonna be there. Message me on Twitter what you want the host question for the week, and we'll follow whatever. He always has good ones anyway. So whatever you want, we'll go with that. But we'll be breaking down UFC Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley, plus all the other fights. So make sure you check that out. We'll be back next week recapping all that. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.
Happy birthday, Antoine.